Here come the teams. Now it's widely believed that City can beat anyone and everyone. They're the treble winners, the English, European and world champions. And what about Pep Guardiola? We've been busy today saying how brilliant Klopp is. He won a Champions League and a Premier League in his 9 years. Pep won both of those trophies inside a few weeks last season. But if there's one thing Pep struggles with, it's not just winning here at Spurs, it's scoring here against Tottenham. This could be a classic. Spurs against Manchester City in the FA Cup fourth round, live on Talksport with FA Cup semi-finalist Andy Townsend alongside Jim Proudfoot.
Thanks, Adrian. Well, a very good evening to you. As you say, Adrian, Tottenham away has been Pep's kryptonite over the last few years. In 5 trips here, they haven't scored. They've lost them all. Each of Spurs' last 4 permanent managers have beaten City here. And in the context of the Pep era, that's an extraordinary series of results. But then extraordinary things happen when these two meet. The first game in that series was the first leg of that belief-suspending Champions League quarter-final. You'll recall the last FA Cup meeting of the two as well at White Hart Lane 20 years ago next week. City 3 down and a man down at half-time, and they came back to win 4-3. Some history to live up to. Will this latest instalment be worthy of it? Another chapter of this rivalry that is discussed and dissected for years to come. And we haven't even mentioned Ricky Villa. Spurs make one change to the side that drew at Man United, Andy. Kulusevski back after illness. He's in for skip in midfield. Maddison's back involved for the first time since picking up an ankle injury in early November. He's on the bench. Son scored in the first 4 of those 5 straight home wins over City. He, though, is on Asian Cup duty tonight, so it's Vicario in goal. Podro, Romero, Van der Ven and Udogie, Bentancur and Højbjerg, and then Johnson, Kulusevski and Werner behind Richarlison, an ultra-attacking front 4.
Yeah, it is. I mean, certainly on paper, Jim, that team looks like it has genuine intent to really go and grab this game and make something serious of it, which is great. Now, whether it pans out remains to be seen. I've yet to see too many teams grab that ball off a City and hang on to it. Only Aston Villa this season. It'd be great to see Spurs have a go at that tonight.
City invariably swap their keepers for FA Cup ties. Ortega's return, one of 2 changes with Oscar Bob in for Doku. De Bruyne's on the bench again. Stones back on the bench after an ankle injury, but still no Haaland. So it's Ortega in goal, Walker, Diaz, Ake and Guardiola, Rodri and Kovacic, Silva, Foden and Bob in some combination, and Alvarez leading the City line.
Yeah, again, some notable absentees, but look, Manchester City, they are what they are. That is still a very powerful team, a very capable team. Huge strength on the bench as well, should Guardiola feel he has to turn to that. So again, I think Manchester City, in any competition that they play in, always the team to beat.
Spurs in all white, and Manchester City in their change kit, dark grey with the fluorescent yellow numbering. Referee tonight, Paul Tierney, who took charge of the final last season. The officials with orange shirts and black shorts. Couple of VARs for you, Tim Robinson and Jared Gillett. The men that are overseeing Paul Tierney's decisions tonight. Carl Walker, the Manchester City skipper, just leading the huddle. Walker, who made 229 appearances for Tottenham. He played in a couple of FA Cup semi-finals for Spurs, but he couldn't be in a Spurs side that won a major trophy, and none of his successors have managed it either. They haven't won a major trophy for 16 years, but will this be the year that finishes? Is tonight the night that they take a big step forward? Between them, these two have won the FA Cup 15 times. Each of the last 4 seasons, both have been in the last 16, but something has got to give. Spurs Man City, the fixture that conjures up high drama as a main course, with the odd side dish of implausibility. A night of nights on Talksport.
Yeah, really looking forward to this game, Jim. 2 very good teams, 2 teams now we know exactly the way that they play. They'll take risks, they'll take chances, they'll play in areas that others wouldn't dream about. But that's what they do.
Including here, from a Tottenham perspective, just outside their own penalty area. Destiny Udogie playing it forward. Bentancur's touch was not quite what he intended. City putting the pressure on. There's a foul on Richarlison, at least that's how the Spurs fans saw it. Manchester City able to work it back with Ake all the way back to his goalkeeper, and it'll come down towards Ruben Dias. Dias for Walker. Back to the goalkeeper. And Ortega gets it clear, a doggy on the end of it, just that nods it down, back towards halfway. Højbjerg back for Van de Ven, whose first touch just a little bit wobbly, and Alvarez put the pressure on him, but he was able to turn out on the edge of his box, find Højbjerg, who goes back to his goalkeeper, and Vicario will play out from the back. We're 90 seconds in. It's Spurs 0, Manchester City 0 in such a mouth-watering tie.
Do you know, and usually whenever you're watching a Manchester City game, right from the get-go, they're the ones that have the ball. They're the ones who's got the back four on the halfway line. As it's been so far, it's been Spurs keeping the ball. Vicario has got it right now. He's trying to draw, trying to tease those City players onto him as he rolls one into Bentancur, who goes out to Romero.
Well, this is one of 4 FA Cup ties taking place tonight. 0-0 in the other 3. As Manchester City doing a Spurs, if you like, defending with quite a high back line, and Tottenham on halfway, almost able to get a 2-against-1 going. A better quality ball forward would have asked some serious questions, but as it is, Kovacic can pick the ball up in the midfield, and it'll be worked down towards Ruben Dias on the Manchester City right-hand side to Walker, and Walker 5 yards in from the touchline. Just plays it back for Rodri, and City will take their turn to patiently build from the back with Bernardo Silva, who started on the right, Foden playing at 10. Oscar Bobb's got an interesting role tonight, Andy, because he's sort of flitting about all over the place, starting on the left, but will frequently find himself this side, the right-hand side of Alvarez.
I think whenever you watch City, it's very difficult to actually pin anybody, probably apart from Rodri in the centre halves. Everyone else has a bit of a licence to move, to rotate, to pick up a position perhaps you wouldn't expect. But yeah, Oscar Bobb has started off that left side, Alvarez up the middle. Phil Foden again won't want to just hug the width, he'll drift inside where he is at the moment. But when they go out of possession, City, of course, all the best teams, like everybody, they've all got jobs to do, they've all got roles to fulfil when they lose possession of the ball. You know, they're not just brilliant with it, they've got to be exceptional without it. They'll recover very, very quickly.
It's the former Republic of Ireland international Andy Townsend, part of our team here on Talksport tonight. Now with his own history in this particular cup competition. As Kovacic lays it back for Ake, who will just turn and play it forward again. Bob comes to meet it. Played back towards Kovacic, and an excellent intense press from Romero, who pushed way forward for Spurs from the defensive line. City work it back neatly enough and then cycle it down to this near touchline for Kyle Walker, whose ball forward cannons away off Werner and goes out of play for a Manchester City throw.
You can tell, Jim, already that you're going to have literally a split second with this ball at your feet before you're confronted by an opponent, before somebody is snapping at your heels trying to pinch it off you. It's the nature of what both teams do. They want to press, they don't wait, they don't sit back and allow everyone to have it. They go after it. As soon as they lose it, they're hunting you down, and both teams doing exactly the same. So it's going to be really interesting to see exactly how this all pans out, which team are able to pinch possession and create the chances.
Yeah, City's natural passing game, pass after pass after pass, 20 yards outside the area, might not happen tonight as Walker plays it in. It's a good save, but Bob will be able to follow up and put it in, but the flag's up against him.
Wow.
He wheeled away in celebration just for a moment. The initial shot saved by Vicario, got a strong right hand to it.
Yeah.
But it was Bob on the follow-up of things, the man that's drawn the offside flag. Andy, we're looking at a replay of it now.
Yeah.
Oscar Bob, was the first ball he's played in, is onside. It went out towards Walker. Walker's right-footed delivery, he's still onside there.
He's onside. This is going to be a goal. Mickey van der Ven looks like he's playing him onside. From the angle that we've got now, we're not absolutely dead in line. Of course, once they put the lines on it, those images can be slightly different. But from what I've just seen there on our monitors, it's not emphatic. This one's going to be very close. It looked a shade to me like Oscar Bob was good. Looks like he's onside.
Yeah, it's very, very close. Bob is probably 10-15 yards in a more central position than Van der Ven. Van der Ven's trailing foot might just, on the strength of the one replay we've seen, have got him onside. Always hark back to my GCSE lessons in physics with Mr. Wormold, who taught me through parallax error. I didn't understand it then, which was nothing to do with him.
He's here tonight, Jim. No, I'm only joking.
If only he was. But my judgment, what I'm saying is, I know that when you're looking at something that isn't quite level, it can be deceptive, because it's only when you're looking right across the line that you definitively know. Yeah. My gut feeling is he's onside there. It's clearly very close, because they've been looking at it for 90 seconds or so. What
happened, just very quickly, before, as we're waiting for this to be cleared up, Portini's about to signal.
Oh, it's offside, doesn't count. Wow.
Cool, that must be so close. That angle we saw, he looked like he was onside. Now, again, we weren't absolutely in line with it. That one must have been very, very close. Here we go. Yeah, we're seeing it. It's extremely close. We've just seen the two lines on it there. Very, very close. Destiny Udogie just lost his footing. It allowed Kai Walker to cross it. Phil Foden, first time shot on his left foot. Vicario, good save. And there was Oscar Bob just to toe end it in from virtually on the line. And as it was, he's just the width of his boot offside.
So Udogie on the left-hand side of his own penalty area, getting it forward. A near miss, the nearest of near misses for Manchester City, but that is a passage of play that will have given them some heart. Spurs work it back for Vicario again, who has to scamper to keep it in and stop it going out of play for a corner. He chipped it out towards the far side. A very difficult ball for Johnson to bring under control, and City have recycled it.
Yeah.
Ake, here's Bob. In towards Foden on the edge of the penalty area, but Van de Ven got it away. Now Richarlison tried to turn, played forward by Ruben Dias on the slide. Spurs pick up the seconds in midfield with Hojbjerg. Udogie's done really well, but the referee said that in stretching, he's just caught Foden. And it's a free kick that'll be taken by City near halfway. It's 0-0, 8 minutes gone. City having a goal disallowed for the closest of offsides.
It's been a lively start, hasn't it? We've had a serious delay there as they checked that possible City goal. Didn't stand, but it's been a lively start. It really has. Both teams, as I mentioned, squeezing, pressing, hunting that ball down and looking to get men forward.
And now another attempt to try and expose Tottenham's high defensive line. It was Alvarez that went shoulder to shoulder with Van de Ven. The Dutchman doing enough to allow the rest of the Spurs players to regain their defensive shape, although the two centre-halves the wrong way round for a moment for Spurs here. Romero told Van de Ven to hold station just for a moment. Bob has got it, left-hand side of the Spurs penalty area. He works it back for Kovacic. 0-0 in the 9th minute here on Talksport. Right-footed delivery inside the area. Walker sliding round the back on the stretch. It was all he could do, really, even with his pace, to get anything on it at all. It was never likely to be accurate. And it ends up in the south stand away to our right-hand side. Let's find out what's going on at the FA Cup tie in the West Country tonight. Bristol City Forest. Here's Ian Abrahams.
23 gone, still Bristol City 0, Forest 0. Just seen the best chance. Mehmeti left-hand side ball in towards the near post. Tommy Conway inside the 6-yard box, put it wide. Bristol City 0, Forest 0.
Goalless as well in the All-Championship clash at Hillsborough between Sheffield Wednesday and Coventry, and the Chelsea-Villa game, which is also 24 minutes in, and that's live for you over on Talksport 2 right now. If you've got the Talksport app, you can easily switch between the two games, swipe left, swipe right, and keep abreast of all of the action that is going on the Talksport network tonight. These are the first 2 of 9 live FA Cup ties that we're bringing you from the 4th round over the course of the weekend, and as this game unfolds, I'll let you know what's coming and when it's coming. Hojbjerg couldn't field a ball on the edge of the penalty area. Foden with a little cushioned layback, played in for Bernardo Silva, checks it onto his left foot, gets a shot in, goes through a crowd of players, but not past them all. Hit Van de Ven, and Udogie's going to be able to bring it away. He's then given it away, and Walker plays in Bernardo Silva. Right-hand side of the area. Silva clipping it back left-footed towards the edge of the penalty area. That been left for Kovacic. He might have been able to get a free shot in. Ake is down and attempted a diving header on the ball. He was only 6 inches off the ground. And no thought of personal safety. Then the ball goes down the left-hand side of the area and Van de Ven's across to get it away from Alvarez and put it out for a throw to City, led with the edge of the Tottenham box. And it's the visitors beginning to turn the screw here at 0-0.
Yeah, excellent play from City. Tottenham struggling to draw breath at the moment. They're really finding it hard to just keep City at bay and keep the ball. They're able to clear it, they're able to make their interceptions, but can't keep the ball for more than a couple of passes before it's back in City hands.
Ake to Bob, back for Kovacic. Bob able to turn as he receives a return ball from the Croatian in the midfield. Rodri has it now, anchored it over the top for the run of Walker, but Destiny Udogie was there to cover. His defensive header goes outside the penalty area, but not by much, and Foden is first to it. Bernardo Silva has it now on the Manchester City right. 0-0 with 11 gone, still 0-0 in the other 3 as well. Ake, good straight ball forward between the lines. Alvarez, Foden making a run ahead of him. Alvarez finding Walker in space. Walker, right-hand side of the penalty area, pulls it back towards the edge of the box. Rodri coming onto it. Kovacic gets a shot in, and he deflects away and wide of the far post for a corner. But down the right-hand side for Manchester City, Walker is having licence to run at Destiny Udogie.
Yep, Destiny Udogie's getting dragged infield, almost underneath his centre halves. Timo Werner ball watching a little bit. He's got to recognise that he might have to make sure that he gets in there and covers Kyle Walker, prevents him from being the out ball. That's what's happening at the moment for City. The City right back, Kyle Walker, is always on, he's always available. They're running Udogie inside, into traffic in the box. Walker has tons of space.
First corner is an in-swing, and Vicario got his hands to it to punch it clear. He was put under real pressure just underneath the crossbar, but he got it outside the penalty area. Walker almost losing possession of Richarlison on the edge of the centre circle. He will say that he knew exactly what was going on there, but Richarlison's eyes lit up for a moment, and he would have had just about an uncharted run towards goal had he robbed possession there. Then a shot comes in from fully 25 yards out, a curling effort from Alvarez. It's easy for Vicario, bowls it out quickly for Udogie. Slightly more panic-stricken ball forward from him to Van der Ven, who quickly found his goalkeeper, and then Richarlison gets caught in the midfield by Rodri, and it's a free kick that Spurs will take midway inside their own half.
Yeah, they'll be happy to have possession, just to be able to just get their shape and have a little spell with the ball at their feet, because the last 5 minutes have been all City.
Oh yeah, chipping it forward, Kulusevski coming to meet it. Rodri's back doing what he does so well, just mopping up ahead of the back 4, able to get possession back and try and get Manchester City going again. Another ball back with Ortega. Has it at his feet on the edge of the 6. Ake playing it out towards Kovacic in front of the Manchester City fans over on that far side. Kovacic now caught in possession and forced to concede a corner, as he had 2 in white bearing down on him very quickly. And the ball goes behind for Spurs' first corner. Good work from Johnson.
Sorry, Jim, I think these are really important tonight, set plays. That's not the biggest, most powerful City team in terms of defending corners. You've got Diaz, you've got Walker, you've got Rodri, you've got Gvardiol. After that, there's a lot of guys that are only just going to try and get their body in and just try and make life difficult. Spurs, if they can find the right delivery, might have good situations here.
Bit of pushing and shoving going on. Richarlison involved in that. Flick on at the near post. No Spurs player could get there at the far post, although Werner's going to be able to mop up. And in his yellow boots, the German lays it back here for Hojbjerg. Hojbjerg back for Udogie. Werner, who played in the FA Cup final back in 2021, 3 seasons ago, which was the one that Chelsea lost to Leicester. He was also in the Chelsea side that beat City in the semi-final in that particular run. Here's Van der Ven, the deepest lying of Tottenham's outfield players. Finding Romero to his right. Out to his right is Pedro Porro, and the Spaniard just nudges it forward. Chance for Johnson to deliver. Not the best ball. Ake can mop up. Richarlison was the target and just wheeled away in dismay. But still harem scarum, real breathless stuff with 15 goalless minutes behind us, and a fair bit of drama already. Richarlison putting the pressure on Ortega here, who nonchalantly chips it out, although he doesn't do the nice line in nonchalance that Ederson does. He still always seems relatively relaxed with the ball at his feet under duress inside his own penalty area. Hojbjerg's given a free kick away, and City will take it inside their own half. You're listening to Spurs Manchester City in the FA Cup. It's live on Talksport with Carling, the official beer partner of the Emirates FA Cup. 18 plus. Please drink responsibly. As Rodri plays it out towards Bob, who will chase after a loose ball and pick it up down by the corner flag. Still 0-0. Kovacic in possession. And he'll just work it behind square for Ake. Ake teasing it forward for the retreating Foden. Kovacic to Bob, turning, in possession. Rodri laying it out towards the left-hand side. Every Manchester City pass, part of a very well-drilled pass and move routine. Rodri, back for Diaz. Guardiola very high on the left-hand touchline at left-back, but Kovacic, instead of finding his compatriots, gone back for Diaz. Foden now will help it out towards Guardiola, bit more space for him, nudges it inside the area, around the side of Pedro Porro, but far too far ahead of Foden.
Getting into some good positions, Phil Foden already. Bernardo Silva a little deeper so far, and it's Foden's the one who's drifting anywhere across the line really, in behind Alvarez, in that kind of number 10 position, in that little pocket. And again, because his first touch is so supreme, it's so good, he always receives the ball and he's facing the right way as soon as he's had his first touch. He's just that sort of player. So that's one area that I'm sure Postecoglou will have said to Bentancur and to Højbjerg in particular, listen, you've got to get close to him, you've got to make him go back with it, make him drop it off to someone perhaps slightly less effective, like a Kovacic, etc.
Kulusevski nearly gave it away, but didn't have enough legs on the pass to get it back for Romero. City have overturned possession though, and Rodri plays it out towards Oscar Bob. Foden, it's a clever little step over from him, knowing that Alvarez was right in behind him. Foden then got caught and looks imploringly at the referee, but Paul Tierney says it's a throw, it's not a free kick. And the throw will be taken, well, should be taken near the edge of the penalty area, though Guardiola, the bearded Croatian, just nicking a yard or so, and gave most of those inches back by the end as he looked to play it back for Ake when the ball is eventually played for Oscar Bob. He's offside. Well, we're 18 minutes in, 20% of the way through an epic cup tie at the end of an epic day. A big announcement today involving Jurgen Klopp, of course. Monday evening from 7. Auf Wiedersehen Klopp on Talksport. We'll see Danny Kelly joined by Danny Murphy and the former Liverpool CEO Peter Moore, looking at the future of the club, what's next for the Reds and for Jurgen Klopp himself. What happens from this point on? Liverpool next in action against Norwich, which is a 2:30 kick-off Sunday afternoon. We've got that game live for you. Then Auf Wiedersehen Klopp Monday night from 7 here on Talksport. That's James Maddison set out to warm up. The ovation for him. Spurs fans delighted to see him back. Many expected that he'd be in the starting lineup tonight, but only on the bench. Here's Romero in possession. 4 from him into the feet of Bentancur. And Pedro Porro ends up being caught by Bob, and it's a free kick that will be taken quickly by Spurs in the midfield. Udogie back for Højbjerg. Now from Van der Ven down to the beloved Timo Werner.
Yeah, and as we speak, we've got Pedro Porro and Udogie in those number 10 positions. Nice interplay between Bentancur and Højbjerg.
And Højbjerg can release Johnson on the right. Ball in from him. It was blocked by Guardiola, goes behind for another corner.
Go for it, Brennan Johnson. He tried to sort of feel that ball into an area rather than really wrapping his foot around it and doing something with a little bit more snap about it. Just being a little bit more positive there with something across the 6-yard box would have been exactly what Richarlison wanted. Really nice football from Spurs, that.
So there are 2 inside the 6-yard box waiting for this delivery, and there are 4 more that are waiting near the penalty spot, making runs inside the penalty area as it's delivered. It's cleared by City, out as far as Højbjerg. Højbjerg to Udogie, the former Udinese man, playing it back for Højbjerg with a long aerial switch out to the Spurs right-hand side. Porro's got it now. Johnson finding himself in a central striker's role for a moment, making the run, indicating where he wanted the ball to be played, but the foul on Romero from Rodri broke up the play and stopped any pass forthcoming at all.
Just a little hesitant there, Romero. In the end, a little nudge from Rodri, and he was happy to hit the floor and get the free kick. Difficulty for Spurs is they want to play their natural way with Johnson, Kulusevski, Richarlison and Timo Werner. It's a big responsibility.
Udogie has done brilliantly for Spurs there. He's come back and robbed Foden After being in that number 10 role that Andy was detailing, he lost possession. And Foden had the opportunity to bring it forward for Manchester City, and there was so much space to work with, and Spurs struggling defensively for numbers, but Udogie is deceptively quick. And he covered the ground and got back and won it cleanly, and now is making his way forward again. But the ball is flighted towards Timo Werner. It's headed away by Diaz on the edge of his own penalty area and goes out of play for a throw that Udogie will take on the Spurs left.
Nothing wrong with that. A long ball clipped forward from Van der Ven towards Timo Werner. It was actually just in behind Kyle Walker. He was backpedaling, never easy. When you're backpedaling, you've got to put your head on it. Spurs get the throw in, building up nicely.
Bentancur for Udogie. And then Kulusevski couldn't take the ball with him, and it just clipped off his heel. But Spurs pick up the seconds and then give it away again. It was Romero with a loose ball. And Kovacic coming back. And he plays it forward here towards Foden. And Van der Ven, who's got such a burgeoning reputation, comes across and cleans up. And on the slide can put it out of play for a throw, and Spurs will regroup. If Foden gets past Van der Ven, then it's a 2 on the keeper.
Absolutely. But he's got such pace, hasn't he, Van der Ven? And also, one thing's being blessed with a yard of pace, but also you've got to see it, smell and sense the danger, and he does that too.
Alvarez laying it back, Rodri fizzing it forward. Ball out towards Kyle Walker on the Manchester City right. He's 10 yards from the corner flag. Still 0-0, and we're at the midway stage of the first half here on Talksport. Over on Talksport 2 right now, still 0-0 between Chelsea and Villa. Foden sends over a low cross, hits Van der Ven and goes out of play for Manchester City's second corner. It's 0-0, Andy. The first quarter of the game's raced by, high on intrigue, something happening all of the time.
Yeah, indeed. Not had too many outstanding chances. Obviously, we had the big talking point when Oscar Bob just toe-ended that one in, and he was offside by a whisker, literally. But there's been lots of good football. The promise of lots to come.
Alvarez with an outswinger from the corner. Easily headed away on the edge of the 6-yard box by Bentancur. And Spurs will be able to bring it down and try and get the bodies forward. Werner needed an early pass to be played. Kulusevski couldn't get the ball out from underneath his feet just to try and flight it over the top of Walker.
Yeah, could have done, Jim. I think he was just struggling, wasn't he, to pick his head up, get control of the ball, spot the run. But Werner was certainly on there.
Bentancur, now it's worked down the right-hand side for Johnson. Keeper doesn't come out. Richarlison waiting in the middle, but the cross too close to Ortega, who threw himself forward on the edge of the 6-yard box and was able to get clean hands behind it to be able to pick it up. And a very disappointing delivery in there from Pedro Porro.
Yeah, could have been better, couldn't it? They broke that line there, Spurs. They sneaked in behind City. Pedro Porro it was. And he did have the time to look up, see Richarlison, and fire it across that 6-yard line. As it was, he hit it hard enough, but it just wasn't accurate enough, and Ortega was able to just snap that one up.
Now Kovacic plays it forward some 40 yards. Van der Ven in there to win it back again, but all he could do is force the ball out towards the touchline. Alvarez picking it up, just lends the ball to Rodri and gets it straight back again. Bernardo Silva, who we've seen have such extraordinary influence on games, just hasn't really been able to grab this one by the scruff of the neck in the same way in these early stages.
He's that little bit deeper. It's kind of playing, almost playing three quite narrow in there with Rodri, with Kovacic and Bernardo Silva, and allowing Foden to drift infield, which is giving Kyle Walker all that room that he's exploited once or twice down the right side.
Gvardiol has the time to turn about 15 yards outside the Spurs box. Here's Bob, bottom left-hand corner of the penalty area. Kovacic for Rodri. Walker shuffles into space on the right. The ball with Foden though. Foden to Bob. Left-footed ball inside the penalty area was not what was needed from Gvardiol. It looked as though he was caught in about 4 minds there, and he ended up flashing it with real pace past the top right-hand corner, nowhere near a teammate, and straight out of play for a goal kick.
Typical City, that's where they play those 10-yard passes just in front of the 18-yard box, 3 or 4 of them before it eventually goes out wide. Gvardiol in a really good position. His first-time delivery was poor.
Now possession at the moment 60-40 in Manchester City's favour.
Yeah, feels about that too, doesn't it? It does feel that it's been that sort of game. City have just sort of edged it. Now, can Spurs get Brennan Johnson, Kulusevski and Werner involved a little more? If they get involved, then Richarlison comes alive. Then he all of a sudden becomes the threat. If he's up there on his own and he's waiting, the delivery isn't quick enough, he'll struggle.
Now Alvarez has been able to pick up possession after Johnson lost it. Right for the shot from Kovacic is blocked by Højbjerg. Werner brings it down. Richarlison feeds Kulusevski. He'll bring it forward. Looked up to see who the options were that time and couldn't see a teammate. And then just dallied a little bit, and Bernardo Silva's picked his pocket on the near touchline, and Walker's got it back safely for City again.
He's looking for the perfect through ball, Kulusevski. Sometimes you just roll it down the line. Sometimes you can't knock that through ball right towards the goal and put your teammate in for a one-on-one. Sometimes you just got to knock it into a channel and ask a striker to run in there and get after it and then hold it up and then wait for others to come and join in. Kulusevski a few times has been guilty of just hanging on, looking, waiting for that perfect situation. Just knock it in behind.
That's Andy Townsend. Alongside me, Jim Proudford here. The Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. First FA Cup meeting between these two for 20 years, almost to the week. Last FA Cup win that Spurs had against City, the quarter-final at Main Road back in 1993, with a Naeem hat-trick that day. Here's Foden. Inside the penalty area, goes to ground, but it was a fair challenge. In fact, he's just let into a doggy, and the free kick has gone the other way, which the Spurs will take right-hand side of their own penalty area.
Excellent defending from Destiny Udogie there. City again counter-attack with Alvarez and Foden. Alvarez out just left side of the 18-yard box, knocks it in behind that back line. Foden racing onto it, but Udogie too powerful, and again just saw it quick enough to deal with it.
27 gone. And the ball with Guglielmo Vicario. He's only kept one clean sheet in his last 7 games here on home soil for Spurs. His long ball forward, returning the Manchester City back line. Rodri just calmly mops up with a cushion defensive header back for his goalkeeper Ortega. And now Bernardo Silva will find Bob. Bob to Gvardiol, and very quickly back to Kovacic. Kovacic has got his own history in the FA Cup, set off in the final in 2020. He was the runner-up in that one, and again 2 years later as well. Now Rodri to Bernardo Silva. Cleverly angled back out towards the Manchester City left. Spurs not keeping the ultra-high defensive line too frequently today. They're back on the edge of their own penalty area at the moment. Foden plays it forward here, but hit Kovacic on its way through, and goes out of play for a goal kick that will be taken away to our right-hand side. So busy weekend in terms of live football for you. 7 more FA Cup ties on the Talksport network over the course of the weekend. Tomorrow game day comes from Portman Road, 6th tier Maidstone United. Try and take their biggest scalp yet as they face Ipswich. It's a 12:30 kickoff here on Talksport. Then another 2 all Premier League ties. Everton Luton at 3 on Talksport 2, and Fulham Newcastle at 7 here on Talksport. Spurs bring the ball forward, 0-0 in this one. Still waiting for the first FA Cup goal of the night. And there have been moments like that one there where there's just been there hasn't been the necessary bit of quality.
Yeah, and care. You're right, Jim. A good chance that for Spurs. Again, couple of useful passes, and then all of a sudden it looked like Timo Werner might be on. In fairness to him and Brennan Johnson, they've had very little to run onto so far, particularly Werner.
Well, Vicario put under pressure inside his own penalty area. He wanted an out ball. Alvarez wasn't going to give him any time, and in the end he was able to scoop it away, but he was far from happy. He has got the ball off the island, and it's a throw which will be taken on the Manchester City right-hand side, but there was an immediate post-mortem between the Spurs goalkeeper, defence and midfield about the lack of movement and the paucity of options for him there. Here's Gvardiol. 30 minutes gone at 0-0. Ake, so much of the play concentrated in the half of the field that Manchester City are attacking. 60-40 in terms of possession. They've had every shot so far in the game. Van der Ven making sure he didn't turn into trouble inside his own penalty area in the form of Foden. The doggy finds Romero. Spurs will play their way out from the back. Porro looking over the top. Richarlison giving chase. Ortega comes out. Just stood in the D, waiting for the ball to get there. Judged the bounce well. Nodded it away from Richarlison. Panic over for City.
Unlucky. 40-yard ball pinged right over the top of the heart of that City defence for Richarlison to turn and run onto. Ortega doing very well, making sure he's outside the box and dealing with that.
And then City almost playing Spurs at their own game there. Walker had made a run from right back, right through the middle, in behind Foden and the Spurs back line, but he needed a first-time ball and it wasn't forthcoming, and he turned away, shoulders drooped, and he's made his way back into his right-back position where he has possession now. Ball down towards Bernardo Silva. Back for Walker again, just leaning into it, controlling it. And then sending a crossfield ball out to the Manchester City left, where Gvardiol in his white boots can control it, plays it forward, hits Johnson and squirts the safety for Spurs. Back into the hands of goalkeeper Vicario. 31 gone at 0-0. The doggy for Van der Ven. He just chips it forward left-footed, comes off the thigh of Werner. He's been fouled. And a free kick that Højbjerg took from the wrong place with a moving ball. And so it's going to have to be spotted down again for a Spurs free kick about 20 yards inside their own half. Pep seldom cuts a figure of a man who's entirely satisfied with his lot. But even by his standards today, it looks as though that part of the beard is greying in front of us. He's a little bit frustrated with some aspects of what he's seen,
particularly with Gvardiol in that left-back position. But in fairness to him, that's not his strength high up the field. But he's been the one incurring the wrath of the City boss a bit.
Well, the assistant referee Scott Ledger over on the far side is just having his communication system with the referee being repaired by an audio technician, so we'll catch up with half-time details at Ashton Gate. Here's Talksport's Ian Abrahams.
Bristol City 0, Nottingham Forest 0. City close with Conway early on with a shot just wide, and Knight right at the end of the half heading over. Danilo could and should have scored for Forest just before half-time with a shot from the edge of the box. Half-time at Ashton Gate, Bristol City 0, Forest 0.
First FA Cup goal of the night at Hillsborough. Victor Torp has given Coventry the lead in first half stoppage time at Hillsborough, away to Sheffield Wednesday. Wednesday 0, Coventry 1. Sky Blues looking for a 5th straight win, which includes that victory in horrible circumstances at Hillsborough on Saturday. The 1987 winners leading by a goal to 0 at Hillsborough tonight. Coming up for half-time in the game live for you over on Talksport 2, the repeat of the 2000 final. That remains Chelsea 0, Villa 0. As we just heard from the Moose, it's 0-0 between Bristol City and Forest. How long does it take to change a battery, Andy?
Don't know. It's taking a while, isn't it? It certainly is. But just getting the battery pack back in, just under that sleeve, and he'll be good to go in a few seconds, I'm sure.
Yeah, the assistant referee just getting wired for sound again. City got this remarkable defensive record in the FA Cup. They haven't conceded in open play in the last 15 halves of football in the FA Cup. So with the minutes that we've had tonight, that's now 709 minutes without conceding a goal from open play. In that time, they've scored 26.
Amazing.
And conceded the one penalty in the final last season.
Yeah. This is actually I know that it does happen, but this is an unnecessary delay, this one. It's taking a little too long. Players now just looked at Van der Ven stretching that hamstring off and making sure he's keeping warm and keeping right. Players now running over to the side, getting a drink of water. And this is just a little unnecessary. We're seeing a rerun of the offside goal on the monitors in front of us. Oscar Bob is just a foot, really. It actually stops him from giving Manchester City the lead.
Now it's Foden with the initial shot. Vicario saving it, and he came back down towards Bob, but when Foden had the shot, Bob just too far forward by inch and a half, maybe. I mean, it's so close. I think the problem with this latest delay, as the assistant referee is still being sorted out, is that when a player goes down through injury, the players probably have got a fair idea how long it's going to take. With this, it's just in intangibles. He's had to take his shirt off, but now has his shirt again. Offers a thumb up of thanks to the audio technician on the far side, who's done her job as quick as was humanly possible. And after about a 3.5-4 minute break, we're back underway here. So it's going to be a fair bit of stoppage time added on. Remember, the VAR check for the goal that was disallowed was lengthy. So we're probably looking at 5 minutes of added time at the end of this first half, I would guess. We're back underway with Pedro Porro turning it forward, and then Johnson working it further down the line, but straight out of play for a throw that will be taken over on the Manchester City left. 9 to go to half-time. It is half-time at Stamford Bridge in our live game over on Talksport 2. That's 0-0 between Chelsea and Villa. Ball on the edge of the centre circle with Diaz. Back for Ake. Ake to Rodri and all the way back for Ortega, who started all 6 FA Cup ties last season, and both so far this. His ball forward, Walker heads it on, it rolls right down the touchline. But a doggy's there ahead of Foden. Infield for Kulusevski. Back now for Romero. Well, Romero turns and very quickly turns back again with Alvarez bearing down on him. And Van der Ven will just elegantly bring it away. He tried to ride a challenge from Bernardo Silva. Couldn't stay on his feet. Here's a free kick. And Van der Ven just lost his balance, having just been caught. And the free kick's taken short by Hotspur to Bentancur, and it goes back for the Dane again.
City are holding a real aggressive line at the back, right on the halfway line, a yard inside their own half. And whenever Spurs have the ball, there's a runner trying to make that, offering that run in behind. They've just been reluctant so far, Spurs, to really go for it and find anybody.
Foul here by Rodri, who runs away. He's put palms of both hands to his head about 3 or 4 times in a bid to question the decision in a non-dissenting way, let's say. Well, he ran away, the free kick given against him. Spurs have worked it forward quickly. Porro, Kulusevski chasing that time, and it goes through towards Ortega. And that was almost an illustration of what you were talking about there, Andy. They had dropped back a little bit deeper that time, City. Do you think that the line in open play, which is about a yard from halfway, is too high?
Well, you can penetrate that, you can. But again there, Pedro Porro, the through ball was towards the goal. Doesn't always have to be that direct. If you knock that in behind City and turn them round, they've got something to deal with.
Well, Bentancur saw the run of Richarlison, tried to squeeze it down the inside left channel. Couldn't quite. Werner's got it though for Spurs. Back from him to Bentancur. High ball headed away by Vardiol. And they're brought down on the Tottenham right-hand side. Romero back in field. Hotspur. Van der Ven. And they'll venture forward into Manchester City territory before sending an excellent weighted ball down for Timo Werner. Werner, bottom left-hand corner of the penalty area as we look at it. Chips it slightly behind Porro, but he's got time to run round it, control it, and get Spurs going again from a different line of attack. The doggy now put under pressure by Walker. Back to halfway for Van der Ven. The doggy's got it once more. On the Spurs left-hand side is Werner. Kulusevski making a run ahead of him. First time ball in hits Diaz. He'll get a second bite of the cherry, maybe a third, as he plays a little 1-2 with Timo Werner, and then Walker tries to defend it. Doesn't go out of play as he thought he was going to be able to shepherd it over the line. Richarlison just kept it in. Walker eventually hammers it away and puts it out of play for a throw. Now that's a throw that will be taken in front of us on the Spurs left. Hotspur to Bentancur. Now Van der Ven to Romero. Spurs with more possession in the last couple of minutes than they've had for a while. They've dominated the ball since the restart after the audio problems for the assistant referee.
They have indeed, yeah. Good play from them too. Neither team's wrestled total control of this game. I mentioned that City have just sort of shaded it. It feels about that, but Spurs very much in it. Just got to take care with that ball. Kulusevski again trying to find Richarlison. And he's just not quite finding that right delivery. That final ball from Spurs has just got to be better.
Now the referee is calling Kyle Walker over. I don't know whether something was said. Walker acting as the Manchester City captain. I think that's why he has been called over. And Paul Tierney just explaining something to him. Bernardo Silva was in close quarters as well. It all seems very amicable. The play will restart with the Spurs free kick inside their own half, and Hotspur tries to waltz his way through past Foden. Now he's found Werner. Who can Werner find? Great challenge by Ake on Richarlison.
Brilliant challenge. Great football from Spurs there. Hotspur, the through ball to Werner. Cross was perfect. Brilliant defending from Nathan Ake.
Kovacic bringing it forward. Spurs have a player stayed down injured. Kovacic to his right-hand side for Rodri. Options to his right include Bernardo Silva. Foden waiting in the middle. Pull back for Rodri. Tries to side foot it towards the bottom right-hand corner. Kovacic tries his luck. Then Bob with a shot. And that's deflected away at the near post by Porro. And out for a corner.
Great football. When all of a sudden it picks up, the tempo rises, anything can happen, honestly. Spurs seconds ago flashing one across the 6-yard box, and then City finding Oscar Bob, left hand of the 6-yard box, hits it on target. Pedro Porro throws himself in front of it to knock it out for a corner.
It's a hugely entertaining 0-0. 3.5 minutes plus stoppage time to go. Johnson's okay, he's back on his feet, he's complaining. And the referee explaining why he didn't get a free kick. But Johnson's fine. Corner on the Manchester City left, in with pace towards the near post. Hotspur puts it behind straight away, heads it out into the south stand. And City's third corner will be swiftly followed by their fourth.
Yeah, Nathan Ake and Ruben Dias are right on the goalkeeper. In swinging corner. Those two guys are looking to prevent Vicario coming and getting it.
Rodri waiting in there as well. Ake, the closest City player to it, bounces a couple of times inside the 6-yard box. And then Werner improvises and hooks it with the top of his foot. Flicks it out of play for another Manchester City throw. And they've still got the bodies concentrated in and around the edge of the Spurs penalty area. 2.5 minutes of normal time to go in this first half. We're expecting 5 or 6 to be at it. Walker will trot across and take a throw down towards the corner flag, and a doggy has won it back, plays it for Bernardo Silva, wins it back in turn. Kulusevski getting on the end of the clearance from Van der Ven, and then working into space for Richarlison. Kovacic slid in, the loose ball ricochets into City territory where Ake's patrolling, heads the ball down, is just going over the touchline as he knew he was out of position, and then volleyed it as far as he could, just to try and get that ball out of the way to delay the restart by a couple of seconds. Good canny play by the Dutchman, and it will be a throw which will be taken on the Spurs left-hand side.
Yeah, ball boy there very quickly. Throwing the ball back in towards Kulusevski, who tried to throw it to Udogie, but he was 10 yards further forward than where actually Nathan Ake had hoofed it out of play.
Van der Ven, international teammate of Ake. Hotspur, flighted ball over the top, not with the requisite accuracy for Johnson. And then Bob is strong-armed out of the way of it in the midfield. And Hotspur will be able to work it back down the Spurs right-hand side again for Porro. Johnson making a run ahead of him. Looked instead for Richarlison in a more central position. And City smuggle it back for Ortega, who will clear. Foden takes it down. Foden on the turn, whacking it forward, hoping to try and play Alvarez in with the ball behind Romero, but Spurs have been able to deal with the threat. And they go back to their goalkeeper, and now Romero will build from the back. 0-0.
If he'd have just looked to his right there, Phil Foden, and Bernardo Silva was in acres of space, he really was.
Romero bringing it out. Johnson, Porro, Romero again. Poke forward, and then Johnson getting the better of Vardiol. Lost his battle though to keep the ball in. So both players came towards the ball, and it kind of went past the pair of them with the aid of a little Johnson flick. Vardiol out of the picture, and Johnson first to react. With the ball just beat into the touchline, it goes out of play for a throw, which Manchester City will take, coming into this on the back of 6 straight wins, 8 wins in 9, and an unbeaten run of 9 in all competitions. Just lost the one of the last 19 that they've played. High ball over the top here for City. The FA Cup holders with Bob working inside the box, and Foden under pressure has volleyed it wide. 6 minutes of added time. We're in them now, and it's 0-0. Here's Andy Townsend.
Yeah, Phil Foden there just wanting that one from Oscar Bob along the floor. In the end, it came at him sort of thigh height, and he had to improvise, try and make something of that. Udogie's close to him. He can't get that shot on target, but it's been a good game. Technically, there's been a lot of good stuff played by both teams, actually. We'd like to see a few more chances, and of course a goal will ramp everything up massively.
It does feel as though the first goal could be extremely significant. Well, it often is, not always, but this feels like a game, particularly when you bear in mind that almost counterintuitively, matches between the two here over the recent years have been low-scoring affairs.
Right.
It just feels as though whoever can find the breakthrough today will have a huge advantage. Spurs in possession in their right-back position, but a ball forward that gave Kulusevski no chance, and he actually did really well to recover and nip in ahead of Gvardiol to win it. But Manchester City have got possession back in the blink of an eye, and they got it with Kovacic. Bernardo Silva drawing Johnson towards him, flicking it away. Kovacic getting past a couple of challenges with good quick feet. It was excellent ball retention that, Andy, wasn't it?
Brilliant. Kovacic there, he's got 2 or 3 white shirts snapping away at his heels and still managed to hang on to it, keep possession.
Spurs winning it back, and Bentancur will get it out towards Johnson. 45 minutes behind us, Spurs yet to have a single shot. Kulusevski getting it forward. But if City have passed the eye test as being just about the better side, not an awful lot in it for all the fact that some of the statistics look pretty heavily weighted in their favour. Still, from this point, you could easily make a case for all 3 potential results unfolding in the second half. We're in the 3rd minute of added time at the end of the first period, with Ake in possession, and he's found Ruben Dias. Dias to Bernardo Silva on the edge of the centre circle. Ake trots out of the left-hand side. Bernardo Silva drops deep, splits the 2 centre-halves for a moment. Played forward from Rodri to Gvardiol. Bob making a run ahead of him. Through the middle goes Foden. Knocked away by Van der Ven. And it bounces a little bit awkwardly for Højbjerg. Bernardo Silva read that bounce and flicked it forward. Alvarez now poking it towards the edge of the box, but Van der Ven's there to knock it away again. Commanding header back from Gvardiol as he leant into his opponent, and the referee stopped play, not because it's a foul, but because he believes that's a head injury potentially, as Joško Gvardiol was in very strongly in the midfield, and so play stops, and the stoppage time is going to be elongated whilst Johnson is attended to.
Yeah, time for a little breather to just maybe sort 1 or 2 things out. I think for Spurs, I think Postecoglou would like to get Brennan Johnson and Timo Werner. Kulusevski's been a little careless with the ball at his feet, I have to say. He's given it away more often than not. And I think that 10 position tonight is something that, with James Maddison on the bench, I'm sure Ange will be thinking about how to get him involved in the game. At some point, I think he could be a difference maker for Spurs. The fans will love it. It'll give everyone a lift if Maddison enters the fray. Kulusevski so far has struggled to really have that impact. And of course, if he's not getting involved, as I mentioned, Richarlison, those 2 wide guys, unable to really get involved as well. It's such a key position, that. So that's something they've got to look at. For City, again, lots of really good possession. Early on, they look like they might find a way to get through that back line. Since then, their chances have been few and far between. So they need to be a little better, a little faster and accurate at the top of the field.
Kyle Walker controlling a long ball played forward down the Manchester City right-hand side. Faced up by Udogie, but he can lay it back to the edge of the box. Foden working it onto his left foot. And then inviting a challenge from Kulusevski, which was very nearly rash and forthcoming and in the box. Play goes on. City have still got it. Richarlison slid in and got nowhere near the ball. Rodri, 4.5 minutes of stoppage time played. Probably another just over a couple to go. Walker playing it in. Now it's come off Udogie and goes out of play. Johnson's okay, actually, after that bang that he picked up to the head. The second he's had in this game. Throw taken by Walker, back for Ruben Dias. As we go into the 51st minute. Ake inside the centre circle. Everybody apart from Ortega is in Tottenham's half of the field, and that's been the case for large swathes of the opening 45 minutes. Kyle Walker controlling the ball on the right-hand touchline. Udogie and Werner coming and pressurising him. And he's laid it back for Ake. Ake taking it on, clipping it, left-footed, back down towards Walker again, the former Spurs man controlling it. Just trying to invite Udogie to make a challenge. When he doesn't, he finds Rodri. Rodri splays it through the midfield. Bob and Gvardiol with a little 1-2. And he goes back out to the left-hand side of the midfield again. Rodri for Bernardo Silva. In the last moments of the first half, which is still goalless. Foden trying to do something about that. Alvarez running into traffic. Werner trying to bring it away and was able to poke it past Walker. And out for a throw which will be taken on the Manchester City right. And the referee has signalled the end of the first half. Well, Manchester City having the ball in the net in the very early stages, but Oscar Bob fractionally offside, and I mean fractionally, after Phil Foden's initial shot was saved by Vicario. That's been the closest that either side have come. Manchester City with the monopoly on chances. They've had 10 attempts, Spurs have had none, but it has felt a slightly more even contest than that raw statistic would suggest. They're in the balance for all to play for both of these teams in the second half. Spurs 0, Manchester City 0.
Well, Manchester City, stats-wise, Jim's right. It looks like they've absolutely dominated. And actually, I make it that they have, because when you consider, Andy Townsend, that Spurs are the home side, not only have they not had a shot on target, they've not had a shot at all.
No, that would be disappointing, no doubt. They have had situations. Pedro Porro down the right side, Brennan Johnson down the right side, Timo Werner down this left side, where they've knocked balls across the 6-yard box, haven't been able to hit the target, haven't been able to find Richarlison or Kulusevski to actually send something towards the goal to give Ortega something to deal with. That is a fact, there's no doubt about that. City, yes, I don't think they're totally bossing this, eh? Those numbers, yes, they suggest they are. It doesn't feel that way to me. I think Postecoglou will be reasonably content with the kind of chances that City have created up to now. Once or twice they've had the extra spare man in, and Oscar Bob's shot was well blocked from Pedro Porro, but I don't think City are as dominant as perhaps those numbers would tell you.
Are they in control, though? Without being dominant, they're in control.
Yeah, they're having the best of it. I think they are. They're having the better of it. As I mentioned, they're very narrow. Kovacic, Rodrigo and Bernardo Silva. And then they're allowing Kyle Walker to really go as high and as aggressive as he wants to be. And that's to keep Udogie back the way. That's to keep him back in that left-back position, rather than allowing him to do what naturally he wants to do, and that's go and play in that number 10 position. Haven't seen the two Tottenham fullbacks doing that. That doesn't surprise me, Aid, against Manchester City, that we haven't seen them quite so dominant with their own shape. They've had their moments, Spurs, but now they've got to start producing something tangible.
It's the 26th of January. Spurs last played on January the 14th, City January the 13th. Yeah. Are we seeing where this sort of mini winter break is having an effect? And not a good one.
Sometimes it can take you a little longer. I don't think the game's lacked intensity or the game lacked any sort of speed, really. I think from the get-go both teams were pretty much on it. So I wouldn't think that it's lacked that. Sometimes in that final ball, in that little bit of care right on the edge of the box, City usually are at their absolute mesmeric best up around there. Not quite been able to carve out that brilliant opening yet for Alvarez or perhaps Phil Foden in a high position. So no, there may be little traits of it, but not too much.
Let's have a look at the offside, because I've given you a still of it.
You did.
And actually, it took 2 minutes, all told, I counted the time, 2 minutes for them to decide Oscar Bob was offside.
I mean, are they touching those lines? They almost are.
The red and the blue look like they're touching. As we're looking at it now, we've got the lines across that the VAR put across. You can see Oscar Bob's boot.
Yeah.
Looks like it's touching the red line, which is closer to the goal. Okay, and therefore they've given offside. But you can't actually see the boot of the defender because it's black and under the blue line. So, I mean, it looks like to me that both boots could be in the same place. But either way, I mean, this is so picky. This is like a size 9 boot being ahead of a size 8 boot. That's not what offside's about, surely.
No, it's not.
I know people say offside is offside, but that's ridiculous.
Well, again, these, we're always kind of led to believe, well, these are factual decisions. But are those lines absolutely in the right place? Have they got the frame absolutely perfect when the ball left Phil Foden's foot? Look, I don't know, but it was very, very close. When I first saw it, from our position, don't forget, we're on the halfway line. We're looking at something that happened on the 6-yard line. I thought Oscar Bob was good, and then when I saw the replay on our monitor in front of us, I still thought it looked like that he was going to be okay. When the lines went on, it looks like he is literally just a toe end away from giving City a lead.
I will tell you tonight, there is a breaking story in Belgium, and that is that the Belgian side Genk have won an appeal against a VAR error,
right? And
their league match with Anderlecht will now be replayed.
Oh, that's massive.
That's a hell of a precedent to set.
Yeah, that's huge, Jim. That.
And without knowing the specific details, I don't like that as a football fan. You can't re-referee games. Do we go back? So I'm a Torquay United supporter. We feel that we had a playoff final where we had 2 perfectly good goals ruled out that we ended up losing on penalties. Can I now sue the officials so that we can get that game replayed?
But this is the problem of VAR. It's come in and now everybody thinks things should be even more perfect, and when there is a blunder, it was meant to eradicate howlers. It hasn't.
Yeah.
When there's a howler, people want repercussions.
Things should be even more perfect, but human error is a part of our wonderful game.
Well, we'd be replaying games, wouldn't we? An awful lot, Aid.
What happens to the Spurs-Liverpool game here?
I was going to say Spurs-Liverpool, and so many teams have got claims to feel that they've been really hard done by with VAR. Kind of, we realise it's not a perfect science, and we have to accept it and move on. But that is very interesting what's happened in Belgium this evening.
Certainly is. More on that to come. There's more on Klopp as well. It's the big story of the day. Jurgen Klopp run out of energy. He's going to go the rest of the season, see what he can do with Liverpool, and then he's quitting Liverpool Football Club and taking a break. More on the Sports Bar Weekender with Adam Catcher and Carlton Cole from 10 o'clock, or when we're done here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And on Monday night, Auf Wiedersehen Klopp from 7 p.m. with Danny Kelly and the former Liverpool favourite Danny Murphy as well. That's 7 p.m. Talksport Monday night, a special Auf Wiedersehen Klopp. Let's update you from the FA Cup tie at Ashton Gate on Talksport with Ian Abrahams.
9 minutes of the second half gone here. Bristol City 0, Nottingham Forest 0. Both sides had chances in the first half. Gardner Hickman headed just over for Bristol City, and Forest really should have scored. Danilo on the edge of the penalty area, fired wide. Morgan Gibbs-White is on as a half-time sub for Nuno Espirito Santo, clearly not happy with his Forest side. So we've played 54 minutes. It's still Bristol City 0, Nottingham Forest 0.
And into the second half on Talksport 2, where it's Chelsea 0, Aston Villa 0. And into the second half at Hillsborough in another FA Cup fourth round tie, where Coventry lead at Sheffield Wednesday by a goal to 0 on debut. January signing, the Dane Victor Torp scored right on half-time, so the Sky Blues lead. Got a transfer line for you. Brighton are in talks with Leicester over a move for Kiernan Dewsbury Hall, who's arguably been Leicester's best player this season. Talksport understands that to be true. Brentford and Fulham have both shown an interest in the player. Leicester value him at £30 million. They do not want to sell Dewsbury Hall, but could be forced to cash in if their valuation is met. There's more on that on the website and on loads of other transfer stories, rumours and gossip. Talksport.com. Goalless here then at half-time. Spurs 0, Manchester City 0, live on Talksport.
The Emirates FA Cup live on Talksport with Carling, the official beer partner of the Emirates FA Cup and Adobe Women's FA Cup. 18 plus, please drink responsibly.
300 years of expertise in every Twinings sleep blend. 100 hours of craft in every cup. 8 natural ingredients in every sip. 1 night of winding down in every drop. Your moment of serenity. Brought to you by Twinings Sleep. Twinings. Alive in every drop.
It's the UK's biggest used car sale, with savings on over 20,000 used cars. It's Arnold Clark's only sale of the year. The real sale is back. It's the sale you don't want to miss. Nobody does it bigger. Nobody does it better. The Arnold Clark Real Sale is now on. For stock verification and to find the car you're looking for, visit arnoldclark.com.
Hear it, you may have paid too much tax. If you've spent money on tools, travel or food for work, Rift can help work out what you're owed and get a refund bouncing back to you. In fact, on average, Rift get their customers $3,000 back. Not bad, eh? Let's get the ball rolling. Search Rift Tax Refunds.
I'm like a rubber ball, like a bouncing.
Come on, search Rift Tax Refunds today.
At Morrison's, more than 1,000 prices have been locked low, like a kilo of basmati rice, lowered from £2.19 to £1.85, and 500 grams of British statements, locked low at £3.49. More savings on Mum's midweek chilli.
More reasons to shop at Morrison's.
Majority of stores and online, subject to availability, 5% fat mints.
Think January is bad in the UK? Here in Sweden, we get 4 hours of daylight and temperatures of -17. That's why, in January, we make things a little easier. So when you choose a Volvo XC40, you get a £4,000 contribution plus 0% APR. Pretty sure I remembered everything.
Anna, could you let me in? It's freezing out here.
Nearly everything. Order online or visit a Volvo retailer today.
50% minimum deposit, £4,000 contributed by Volvo. Finance provided by Volvo Car Financial Services UK Limited. Figure based on XC40 mild hybrid and varies by model. Terms apply.
Like to mix up your lunch? Try a McDonald's Big Flavour Wrap. Get a kick with spicy veggie. Go big and bold with barbecue and bacon. Creamy with Caesar and bacon. Extra salty with fajita chicken. Or go sweet with today's $1.99 wrap of the day, the sweet chili chicken one. Served from 11 a.m. Price may vary. Wrap of the day discount not available on delivery orders. Subject to availability.
Well, Spurs 0, Man City 0 here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. It's half-time. Let's take a look at the highlights in partnership with Carling.
The Emirates FA Cup halftime highlights on Talksport with Carling, the official beer partner of the Emirates FA Cup and Adobe Women's FA Cup. 18 plus, please drink responsibly.
There's one thing Pep struggles with. It's not just winning here at Spurs, it's scoring here against Tottenham. This could be a classic. Spurs against Manchester City in the FA Cup fourth round.
Walker plays it in. It's a good save, but Bob will be able to follow up and put it in.
Poultini's about to signal.
Oh, it's offside. Doesn't count. Wow.
Phil Foden, first time shot on his left foot. Vicario, good save. And there was Oscar Bob just to toe end it in from virtually on the line. And as it was, he's just the width of his boot offside.
It was pretty tight. That's all thanks to Carling.
Halftime highlights on Talksport with Carling, the official beer partner of the Emirates FA Cup and Adobe Women's FA Cup. 18 plus, please drink responsibly.
Well, day 2 in the first test was India's day in Hyderabad in that game against England as they batted throughout the day with England's inexperienced spinning attack, struggling in the heat. India finished 421 for 7 at the close with Ravindra Jadeja still unbeaten at the crease on 81. India lead now by 175 runs. England need an inspired performance with the bat tomorrow to force India to bat again. The match will resume tomorrow morning, 3:30 a.m. It's live and exclusive and free on Talksport 2, 3:30 a.m. And to get Talksport 2, just download the Talksport app for free from where you get your apps, and you can swipe left for Talksport 2, swipe back right for Talksport. There's loads of other stuff on there, some brilliant podcasts. There's the full schedules. You can go back to listen to old shows on the schedules as well. And to mention the podcast, Hawksby and Jacobs Clips of the Week every week is in a podcast shortly after that Friday show is finished. Well worth a listen if you want to have a laugh. You can also access Virgin Radio on the Talksport app as well. But 3:30 tomorrow morning, live and exclusive and free on Talksport 2. It is day 3 of the first test. England struggling against India in Hyderabad. Just seen Ozzy Ardiles, Paul Miller, Glenn Hoddle, all heroes of the 1981 FA Cup win over Manchester City on the pitch. I once played in a charity game. Paul Miller completely wiped me out. He sliced me in two, and one of his teammates, I'm not sure which one, might be Pat Jennings actually, came up to him and said, "World class, Windy." It really wasn't, mate.
Do you know, hey, Robbo's down there as well, Graham Roberts, and if it weren't Maxi Miller that was going to wipe you out, Robbo most certainly would have done.
I'm glad it wasn't Graham Roberts, to be honest with you. We've just been having a look at the offside goal again, and possibly Oscar Bob doesn't touch it. Does it go in?
Well, I think it does go in, and you know, maybe the naivety of youth, you got to make a split-second decision, of course, that you know you're there, you think you're probably onside, you help it in, and ask the questions later, but I do think, looking at the replay from a number of different angles, that Vicario wouldn't have been able to get back to his feet to scoop it away with his right hand. Had Bob not been there, I think the ball goes in, and Manchester City would have been ahead at that stage with a Phil Foden goal.
You talk about, youth and Oscar Bob, maybe a bit of maturity, a bit more experience might have left it. It's a brave player who leaves that.
Absolutely. Listen, I'm not sitting here being critical of it. Not at all. I'm just saying, had he left it, I think it probably would have gone in. Foden was onside and Bob wasn't interfering with play until the shot comes back and hits Vicario, and Bob then tries to follow it up.
0-0 then, and Andy, City struggling to score here again.
City just can't seem to, at the moment, find that way through. They'll be reasonably happy with their first 45 minutes. Just saying to Jim and I were just talking there about how long before we see Maddison in the 10. Maybe Kulusevski moving back out wide and either Brennan Johnson or Timo Werner making way. That would, I think Spurs are one really sharp, decent pass away from finding Richarlison or finding somebody in a position to go through and have a one-on-one with Ortega. I really do. I think they're close to it. They need someone to deliver that pass. Can James Maddison be that man if Ange gets him out there in that first 5-10 minutes?
You know what, I make you right. My only note under Spurs in the first half, no quality in the final ball. Yeah. Plenty of endeavour from Johnson and Werner, etc., but no quality. Maddison has that
He's
quality.
got that poise. He's prepared to take a touch in a tight area, and he just sees it. He's just got that picture as the best midfield players have. So we'll see.
FA Cup fourth round on the Talksport network. Loads of ties coming up this weekend. Live commentaries, 9 in all, and a couple of them tonight. Chelsea 0, Villa 0 is live on Talksport 2 right now. Elsewhere, Bristol City 0, Forest 0, Sheffield Wednesday 0, Coventry 1, and here we're about to kick off the second half of Tottenham 0, Manchester City 0, with three-time FA Cup semi-finalist Andy Townsend alongside your commentator on Talksport, Jim Proudfoot.
And there are no changes, so it's Vicario in goal for Spurs, Porro, Romero, Van der Ven and Udogie, Bentancur and Højbjerg, Johnson, Kulusevski and Werner, and Richarlison, City, Ortega, Walker, Diaz, Ake, Gvardiol, Rodri and Kovacic, Silva, Foden and Bob, and Alvarez. Referee is Paul Tierney, and he gets us underway for the second half. Spurs in all white, kicking from left to right in this second period, and from the kickoff, working it back, Van der Ven just having to go up through the gears a little bit quickly on the edge of his own penalty area. Podro will flight it forward. Ortega, though, chasing outside his penalty area, mops up very calmly, clips it down towards halfway where Ake will turn it on. And now the ball just drops at the feet of Pedro Porro, who has played it off Alvarez. He immediately turned and appealed that the ball had gone out of play for a Spurs throw. Alvarez appealed as well, but Bentancur deemed both of those challenges irrelevant because he kept it in. And Spurs work it out towards the left. Kulusevski, good challenge coming in on him to win it back. Spurs just on the back foot for a moment as Bernardo Silva brings it forward here for the treble winners. The doggy has won it back, and it goes out eventually for a throw that will be taken on the Tottenham left-hand side midway inside their own half. 0-0 a minute into the second period, Andy.
Yeah, you mentioned, Jim, earlier about first goal and that feeling it's that sort of game. The first goal is hugely significant. Look, they usually are, but you just feel in this sort of game when it's tight and it's tactical and it's very, very evenly matched in lots of ways. This sort of night, if you can find the net first, particularly I feel for the home team, particularly for Spurs, if they can make the breakthrough, it'll be huge for them.
Well, they don't tend to go behind in too many games. They've only been behind in 6 games all season, and of those 6, they've only lost once. They have scored in every game in which they played since Postecoglou came to the club, but remember, they haven't had a single shot so far here, and it's Manchester City that are on the front foot with Foden playing it out to the right-hand side for Walker, space for Kovacic, just try to roll it in between centre-half and left-back for Walker, who chased after it obediently, but he knew from a long way out that he wasn't going to get there. Kovacic's pass wasn't good enough. Silva then mops up in the midfield and fires it 50 yards back for his keeper Ortega. City will still feel, by and large, that they're pretty comfortable. The one Spurs threat at the moment is coming on the counter-attack with this high Manchester City back line, which is every bit as high as Spurs at the moment. Alvarez just coming into a slightly deeper position. finding Vardiol. Bob peels away to his left. Vardiol working it through the middle for Silva. Silva to Foden. Controlled it with his right foot, then tried to flick it with his left towards Alvarez and couldn't get it right. But Kovacic wins it back. Bob's ball inside the penalty area, travels a long way to big chance, and it's missed by Alvarez.
What a challenge, Jim. I think Mickey van der Ven, when it looks like Julian Alvarez is all set to give City the lead. Tottenham with Bentancur give the ball away too cheaply. It comes out to Oscar Bob. He clips the ball across the penalty spot to Julian Alvarez, who takes that first touch, and he's just about to hit this from 7-8 yards out. Van der Ven goes flying across to get a vital interception and send it out for a corner.
He really is a defender of some repute, and his name's ringing around from the Spurs fans here. Corner, the first of the second half, taken from the Manchester City right, but cleared. It just looked as though Rodri was having his shirt pulled potentially there on the edge of the penalty area. Play goes on, another ball worked inside the box, and Van der Ven equal to that as well. It was a much more routine clearance, sweeping it away with his left foot on the half volley. And it's a throw which will be taken on the Manchester City right-hand side. Kyle Walker will come forward to take it.
That's such a stunning challenge from Van der Ven, so crucial as well, because I think Alvarez fires that one in the back of the net without any sort of touch there.
And it was such a high tariff challenge because there was literally no margin for error. He takes the man there, then he's in big trouble. Big trouble. Any kind of contact. No contact with the ball or contact with the man, but he got it absolutely spot on. Here's Vardiol. Manchester City on the left-hand side, midway inside their own half. Spurs with a good record here. Won the last 4 on this ground. That includes a victory against Burnley in round 3. City just brushing the challenge at Huddersfield aside 3 weeks ago. Manchester City mopping up again, back inside their own half.
Brilliant.
It was good, wasn't it, from Ortega, just side-footing it forward into space in the midfield. And Bernardo Silva, ratting around again, is able to get in there and win possession back. And that adds a little bit of artistry to his game. Couldn't find a man who was denied the time to do that as a free kick has been given. Bob. From that free kick, forward towards Alvarez. First time ball in from him. Cushion on towards the right foot of Gvardiol. Foden then knows he's offside. Lets the ball run out of play past him. It will be another Manchester City corner, and the travelling support 9,000 strong tonight in fine voice. And they're increasingly encouraged by what they're seeing.
Yeah, good play from City that. What they're doing better than Spurs is they're not trying to do it in one specific pass to split the back 4 wide open. Take a couple, stretch Spurs in the wider areas, then put something in. Doing it really well.
So a corner taken from the left-hand side. It was a vicious in-swinging delivery towards the near post. That's headed away by Bentancur. And out for another corner, which is City's 7th. Spurs have had 2. So Bob showing for the short one. It does look as though it's going to be another direct delivery in towards that near post area. That one wasn't as high, so it was easier to clear. Foden then stumbled as he tried to get on the second ball on the edge of the penalty area, but he was able to maintain possession, picked himself up, just picked out some grass from underneath the studs on his left foot and threw it away disdainfully, furious with himself that he just lost his balance at the most inopportune moment. But City have kept the ball, they've gone all the way back to their goalkeeper, and now they're all the way back towards the edge of the Spurs penalty area again with Alvarez, who is the nominal leader of the line, but only nominally. There's so many players making runs past him, including Kyle Walker at one stage in the first half. Vardiol, ball forward that deflected off Højbjerg. Romero got it away. But Spurs can't get out at the moment. We've played 7 minutes of the second half. I don't think they've had a meaningful touch really inside Manchester City's half of the field.
No, it's been all City, and they're up on the halfway line and they're asking all the questions, and they're just starting to look like they're ready to maybe go and get themselves into the box seat in this match.
Now Kulusevski has gone down. Kovacic with the challenge. The referee immediately motioned that he played the ball, and play goes on. The Spurs have turned it over again. Here's Werner. Werner, it's a good ball forward. Johnson And the goalkeeper got there second, but he did really well. Johnson tried to flick it past him. Ortega made himself big and made sure that the ball hit him. It hit his top legs. He came out and dived at the feet of Johnson. But better from Spurs, and that was the high line exploited for just about the first time in a really worthwhile way.
It was Bernardo Silva who gave the ball away cheaply. That one's a bit too heavy from Pedro Porro down the line, but it was Bernardo Silva that gave the ball away, and Timo Werner did great. Drifted inside with his right foot and then picked his head up, and he saw Brennan Johnson, and the ball from Werner was brilliant. Right inside, in between Vardiol and Diaz. Brennan Johnson sprinting onto it, and Ortega comes out, and the Tottenham man just can't get enough on it to scoop it over the goalie.
Richarlison putting the pressure on Ortega, who's got it away, but only as far as a doggy. Fought now for Werner inside the penalty area. Handball shout against Diaz, who immediately threw his arm behind his back as if he was guilty. VAR will be having a look at that. Romero down for Porro. His ball inside the penalty area is headed away by Diaz, and it goes out of play for a throw. The referee hasn't told Hojbjerg to delay the taking of the throw, which suggests that the VAR's already said play on.
His hand's behind his back. Whether it hits him on the top part of his arm, bicep area, but his hand is always behind his back, and it never moves or never wanders towards the ball at all.
Well, still Pedro Porro hasn't taken the throw on this near touchline. He's been given the hurry up here by the referee, but Richarlison is being called over, and I think is being told, stop with the histrionics, I'm refereeing the game. The incident was looked at. There's no yellow card for dissent. Good referee, just having a word, making the point, and now we'll get on with it. Back he goes from Porro, from that throw to Hojbjerg. Inside his own half for Romero. Chipped down towards the touchline for Porro, right in front of us. We're about 3 yards inside the half the Spurs are attacking in this second half, and it's 0-0. And City still on top. Vardiol sliding the ball back. It's hit. Richarlison goes back for Ortega. Plays out towards Rodri. Bentancur applying the press. Foden will get the ball and will try and turn. On the half turn, he's found Kovacic. Forward towards Vardiol. Vardiol shown in field by Pedro Porro. Now switches the line of attack out to the right-hand side. And Werner very cleverly just did enough. Jumped up. He was nowhere near the ball, but just his movement was enough to put 2 City players off. And the ball goes out of play over on the far touchline for a throw that Spurs have taken quickly. It's 0-0. And here's Andy Townsend.
Just as we looked up there, Jim, we saw Udogie with the ball 10 yards from the halfway line. Timo Werner making an angled run in behind Kyle Walker, and the left back just again delayed that pass. And it's that sort of night. You look up, you have an opportunity very quickly to find somebody. If you then think again, the chance is missed.
So here's Udogie bringing it forward, and he's been fouled, and that is a yellow card. First one of the night, shown to Mateo Kovacic, an angry reaction from Richarlison. Rodri goes across to calm things down. Kovacic is booked. Let's get an update from Ashton Gate, Talksport Ian Abrahams.
Quarter of an hour to go, still Bristol City 0, Forest 0. Both sides have had chances. Cam Prings fired wide from 25 yards for the home team, while Forest missed a good chance. Hudson-Odoi, the side netting. It's Bristol City 0, Forest 0, quarter of an hour to go.
Moose, thank you. Live over on Talksport 2 right now. They've also got 15 minutes to go. Chelsea Villa still goalless, and Coventry leading at Sheffield Wednesday with a debut goal for Victor Torp. And that brings you up to date. Just the 1 goal so far in 4 FA Cup 4th round ties. I guarantee there'll be many more tomorrow for you. Game Day Live coming from Portman Road. Maidstone going to Ipswich, a 12:30 kickoff here on Talksport. Everton Luton at 3 on Talksport 2. Fulham Newcastle at 7 on Talksport. And Adrian will be bringing you all the goals as they go in with around the grounds from the FA Cup and the EFL as well. Based at Bramall Lane tomorrow at 2:30. Then Sunday, exclusive commentary from Rodney Parade as Manchester United visit Newport. That's a 4:30 kickoff in South Wales after the Black Country Derby at 11:45. And Liverpool against Norwich at 2:30. And that brings you up to date with all of the football that's coming up. I'll remind you about the cricket shortly as well, with Rodri in possession here for Manchester City. Played out towards the City right-hand side for Walker. Walker now to Bernardo Silva. And he'll retreat towards the edge of his own penalty area before going back to his goalkeeper. Right-footed, it's slided forward by Ortega. Bob trying to help it on. A big, rumbustious challenge then comes in on him. And it was Romero that was the perpetrator in firing it forward. The ball hit Richarlison in an offside position. And it's a free kick to Manchester City.
Yeah, City again are the team that are trying to invite those white shirts onto them and then looking for that defence splitting pass. They've been close to it a few times already. Second half, just haven't quite delivered it. I do feel that something's going to happen anytime soon, because there'll start to be a little bit more room out there as well. Gives you that split second extra to pick your head up and maybe find that perfect delivery.
And so it'll be interesting to see the timing of the substitutions. Grealish out warming up. Maddison's been warming up most of the night, it seems. Just trying to get themselves at the forefront of their manager's thinking. Bernardo Silva's got the ball over on the Manchester City right. He's done really well to withstand the challenge coming in on him from Kulusevski, and then he's gone down. And it's a free kick that'll be taken by City 15 yards inside the Tottenham half, and the referee shows the yellow card.
Yeah, Udogie gets that yellow card for that challenge on Bernardo Silva. He hasn't got off the floor yet. He's not the sort of guy who makes a meal out of things, Bernardo Silva. And I can see why. Udogie's foot has gone a little high and over the top and caught Bernardo Silva right on the top of his foot, and that can be a sore one. Paul Tierney is well within his rights to give a yellow card for that one. No genuine malice in it. It's just, I'm afraid it's a bit high and too late, and therefore Udogie now has to be careful.
7th yellow this season for Udogie. And to go along with the red card that he picked up here against Chelsea in that extraordinary London derby, which is one of 3 home defeats that Spurs have suffered this season, beaten here as well by Villa and West Ham. The City have lost 4 games on the road. Wolves, Arsenal, Villa and Newcastle in the League Cup. This one's 0-0 and we've played exactly an hour. Højbjerg with the outside of his right boot, played out to the Tottenham left-hand side for Timo Werner. Werner running at Bernardo Silva, trying to take him on the outside. He's got it across. Diaz will knock it away. Walker will keep it in on that right-hand touchline and get it forward, but Højbjerg's first to it. They're ahead of Foden. Werner recycles it back for Udogie. Udogie's ball through the midfield. I just saw Bob chase after it for a moment, but Romero was there first. Porro's done well. Can't get on the return ball. Ake nudged it away. The Spurs will bring it forward again. Johnson right-hand side of the area into a dangerous area. Richarlison fields it, comes back outside the penalty area in the process. Now plays in towards the penalty spot. Kulusevski trying to turn. Threw himself to the ground after a heavy touch. Trying to con the referee that Rodri had fouled him. He didn't, and play goes on.
Unlucky. Good football from Spurs. Højbjerg did great a couple of times there in the middle of the park to recycle the ball for his team, and eventually came out to Brennan Johnson with a ball whipped in. Lots of white shirts in there. Just didn't fall kindly for anyone.
Still real harem scarum stuff. And the referee has given a
free whistle there.
Well, he's given a free kick to Spurs out by the touchline, and Tottenham had then, after the foul, ventured forward and were just on the edge of the penalty area, and that has really incurred the wrath of the Spurs players and fans, when an advantage may well have worked really beneficially for Tottenham.
I'll tell you what, there were 3-on-2 in the box there. Ange Postecoglou shakes his head, and I can understand why. Just Paul Tierney takes a breath there and just lets that go before he blows his whistle. Something might have materialised there for Spurs.
Yeah, ball just side-footed into the path of Richarlison, would have given him the opportunity to turn on the edge of the penalty area. It wasn't to be. Fourth official Darren England just explaining the decision and the timing of it to the Tottenham bench. But the noise has ratcheted up, with Spurs having a free kick in an attacking position here. 4 on the edge of the box, 3 not too much deeper. The ball inside the area didn't have the height And Kovacic easily volleys it clear. Out to the Spurs left, where Kulusevski will take over. Werner back for Destiny Udogie. Højbjerg will take over now for Spurs on the right. And plays it forward past Bob. Excellent turn by Johnson. Cuts it to the edge of the penalty area, and then it breaks down with a ball flicked forward by Romero, but far too hard for Kulusevski. He's just chipped it into the hoardings.
He was still coming back, actually, from the set play there, Christian Romero. It was really good turn, actually, from Brennan Johnson. Lovely work, that. Activity on the City bench, Jim.
Yep, cavalry's coming. Doku and Kevin De Bruyne.
All the best with them changes.
It's not bad. Not a bad double change to be able to make. Well, we saw the immense impact that De Bruyne made off the bench against Newcastle. Play will stop here because there's been a clash which has seen Christian Romero going down, holding the left side of his face. It was an awkward bouncing ball, and Rodri went in for it, knowing he wasn't going to get there, turned and protected himself, and ended up catching Romero. Romero's all right, he's back on his feet.
I mean, I don't think it's a yellow card. However, considering one or two of the others that have been brandished, I think he's a little lucky there, Rodrigo. It's not the foul, it's the way that you break the play up.
The Spurs took the free kick. They loaded the edge of the penalty area, and then the free kick was taken by Porro. He's just rolled it straight forward 20 yards, and Johnson wasn't ready for that, and it's gone straight out of play for a goal kick, and the changes will be made. So Bob's coming off, and Doku will come on to replace him. Man who had 4 assists in that win against Bournemouth back before Christmas. The player who's been struggling with injuries himself, not as significantly as this man. Kevin De Bruyne did his hamstring at Burnley on the opening day of the Premier League season, but boy did he come back with a bang. A magnificent performance at Newcastle with a sensational goal and an assist, and he has come on as well. So De Bruyne and Doku, the 2 players coming on. Bob and Alvarez, the men replaced Andy.
Yeah, Phil Foden's gone up the middle. Kevin De Bruyne has gone off the right side, almost up top. He won't stay there, he'll drift, he'll wander. He'll probably play without a definite 9, obviously, with Phil Foden playing there.
De Bruyne, slightly longer of hair these days. Doku stumbling twice, but still winning a throw. Pedro Porro was absolutely adamant that he was caught by Doku as he got back to his feet. But it is a throw to Manchester City rather than a free kick to Spurs. Not quite the same visual comparisons with Macaulay Culkin, now that Kevin De Bruyne has grown his hair a little bit. And certainly, it looks like Culkin teenage years. Here's Foden, left-hand side of the box. De Bruyne scrambling to get in. Oh, deflection from Foden's cross. Sailed over the goalkeeper. No City player could get there to follow it up. Comes back out for Bernardo Silva. Left-footed deft chip inside the penalty area. That's cleared. The space for Doku on the City left. Vardiola's played him in. 66 gone at 0-0, but still hugely entertaining here on Talksport. We're 25 minutes away from a replay. 6 minutes away from a replay at Hillsborough, where Sheffield Wednesday have equalised at home to Coventry. JD Gassama is the man that has got that goal. It's 1-1 at Hillsborough with 6 minutes to go. Here it's 0-0 with the midway point of the second half almost upon us. Spurs breaking forward, Kulusevski going down and winning a free kick right on the right-hand touchline after a foul by Ruben Dias.
Yeah, did really well there, Kulusevski. Ball was clipped down the line by Brennan Johnson. He read the fact that Ruben Dias was going to get there first, read his first touch, got in front of him, protected the space. Dias drops him to the floor, which gives Pedro Porro, level with the 18-yard box, right on the touchline, a chance to whip something in.
So Porro spotted the ball down and has taken 3 steps back. The cameraman tracing his every move. In it comes from Porro. It's very deep. Comes to Kyle Walker at Yorker length, and he's flicked it away with his right boot. And then another disappointing crossfield ball from Spurs, and it drifts out of play for a throw. Talking of Yorker length, plenty of work for England's cricketers to do tomorrow morning. The first test resuming in Hyderabad. They're trailing by 175 runs. India still got 3 wickets in hand. Our coverage of day 3 starting at 3:30 in the morning over on Talksport 2. Darren Gough, Kevin Peterson amongst those talking through what will hopefully be an England recovery tomorrow morning. Here's Højbjerg inside the penalty area for the run of Johnson. High right-footed up and under inside the box, but the flag comes up and it's a free kick to City on the edge of their own penalty area.
A ball back to Ortega there, who's been very good and very assured with his feet. But the ball back to the goalkeeper there was a lively one. Pitched about 6 foot in front of him and he ended up almost shinning it away.
Free kick is taken back to him. Well, it's a more measured, assured touch. And it goes out towards Walker again. Walker for Ruben Dias. Pressure applied by Richarlison. Still no sign of Maddison for Spurs. I'm sure it can't be too far away. Well, Tottenham forced to use the emergency exit behind them. It goes all the way out towards Vicario, and then as De Bruyne puts the pressure on, it's turned down the left-hand touchline from an acute angle straight out of play. Again, then it was, and it's a throw to City. Ball inside the penalty area. Oh, Vicario spilt it. Gathered at the second attempt. It was nowhere near Foden, who's the only City player that was in a position to react. Vicario puts his left hand up by way of apology. No harm done from a Spurs perspective, and it remains 0-0.
Yeah, a couple of times Vicario, when the ball's gone back to him, he's frustrated, he's moaning and groaning and screaming at his defenders. It can't always be perfect coming back to the goalie. He's got to accept that and deal with it quicker.
Good quick feed from Doko. De Bruyne, did he keep it in? No, not quite. Just rolling over the line before he chipped it towards the far post. And it's out for a goal kick to Tottenham. So as things stand right now, all 4 FA Cup ties tonight going to replays. Sheffield Wednesday Coventry 1-1, as I told you. Chelsea against Villa 0-0. That's live right now over on Talksport 2 with only a couple of minutes to go. And at Ashton Gate it's still Bristol City 0, Forest 0. And there is some action and animation down beneath us on the Tottenham bench, but it's Skip who is getting ready. And Richarlison is fouled and squares up to Ruben Dias for a moment, and Dias is cautioned.
Yeah, because he's deliberately slowing things down there and denying Richarlison the chance to play that first. That big roar that went up, Jim. We see that Oliver Skip is stripped and ready. Of course, the Tottenham fans are desperate to see James Maddison. I think we all are. I'm a little surprised Ange hasn't gone for that. With the game still at 0-0, I thought Maddison would have been the perfect one to come on and see if he can influence things. Oliver Skip, obviously an honest boy, but is there to do a job.
No, Andy's going to be coming on as well.
Is he? Good.
Just look down beneath me and I can see him. De Bruyne, a little bit too much on the ball play through the penalty area. Foden's done well to keep it alive. Back for Jeremy Doku. Kevin De Bruyne again. Right-footed ball chips inside the penalty area. Walker didn't know whether to go with his foot or his head, and in the end was given the chance to do neither as Spurs knock it away. Richarlison ploughing a lone furrow down the left-hand side with Dark City shirts all around him, and didn't come close to being able to play an effective ball, and City will be able to bring it away again with 0-0. 19 to go. Great turn by Foden, but I thought Van der Ven had won that cleanly as he was on the stretch, but the referee said that he took a little piece of Foden, and it's a free kick to City on halfway. So Skip and Maddison will be coming on at the next break in play. Here's Doku. Near the edge of the Tottenham penalty area. Doku laying it back again. Kovacic. Given away by Rodri a little bit cheaply. The ball put out of play for a throw, so now the changes can be made. Skip will come on. It's his 100th Tottenham appearance tonight, 150th senior game of his career. He'll be realistic enough to know that the big cheer of anticipation isn't necessarily for him. It's for this man, James Maddison, and Johnson and Bentancur are the players that are coming on.
Yeah, so Oliver Skip goes in there with Højbjerg. James Maddison goes straight into the number 10 position. Kulusevski will now play off the right-hand side. And that's just re-energised everybody in the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium for what's left of the game. They just want to see James Maddison operate and get on that ball.
Damaged his ankle back on November the 6th against Chelsea. Hasn't played since. This skip straight to the pace of the game and intercepting a ball four from De Bruyne. All to play for with 17 minutes to go. Skip. Here is Maddison. Ake wouldn't let him past. De Bruyne. Right-footed ball four from him. Spins via a deflection off a Tottenham player.
Cool. We feel like we're one good pass away from a team getting this tie and winning it, Jim.
Yeah.
It's so finely balanced. It's just one De Bruyne ball or a Maddison ball or something just to put someone in and someone away to settle this.
It might just take one moment of inspiration. Kulusevski. Maddison chases after it. It's headed away by Diaz. Brought down inside the centre circle by Bernardo Silva. Ake's 15 yards inside his own half. He just side foots it forward for Mateo Kovacic. Now towards Ruben Diaz. City still stringing the passes together, enjoying the lion's share of possession. Over the game as a whole, it's remained pretty constant at 60-40 in City's favour. It's just a fraction under that at the moment. Walker taking a deflection. De Bruyne had found space, hence the sharp exhalation from Andy alongside me. I mean, Kevin De Bruyne is just to have given a free kick away for a nudge on Van der Ven. There's an angry reaction from him actually towards the assistant referee, whose decision he clearly didn't agree with.
He's having a little look at him, De Bruyne there, and he clatters into Van der Ven. And I think that's a little too blatant, if I'm being honest. I think De Bruyne's perhaps again a tad forward. He gets away with just a lecture, but the ball earlier from Kyle Walker in a wide right position, De Bruyne is totally unmarked. All he's got to do is clip it around Mickey Van der Ven, and he doesn't do it. De Bruyne would have been one-on-one with Vicario.
3-3 the last time these two sides met. Now that was only last month, and yet here it could well be first goal wins. They're going to a replay at Hillsborough. Sheffield Wednesday 1, Coventry 1. It's finished. And full-time at Ashton Gate as well, Ian Abrahams.
Bristol City 0, Forest 0. The magic of the cut conspicuous by its absence. Pring had two chances, good ones for City. Meanwhile, Hudson-Odoi and Danilo for Forest couldn't take them. Back to the banks of the Trent in 10 days' time. Finished Bristol City 0, Forest 0.
So 0-0 there, 0-0 still in the Chelsea against Aston Villa game as well. There's a yellow card shown there to Andy as well.
Yes, I'm not sure whether it was actually for Pep Guardiola. Somebody looked like they got a yellow. We'll find out.
Kovacic bringing it forward for City. Doku on the left-hand side of the box. Gets to the byline, turns, guides it away from Pedro Porro and then loses out. Spurs winning it back. Worked into the feet of Richarlison. Maddison takes evasive action as Richarlison's lofted ball is played towards the doggy. It was Pep Guardiola that picked up that yellow card. Good eyes, Andy. So he has been cautioned. Kovacic, Diaz and Udogie, the players that have been booked tonight. Spurs get it forward again. Udogie in between the lines for a moment. Just waited too long. He had Richarlison screaming for the ball through the middle, but he didn't play him in.
Or take the shot. It just took too long, and the delay, and City swarmed around him and pinched it.
13 to go. Here's Silva. Oh, it's a clever lofted ball to his left-hand side. Kovacic, Doku, a little bit more time to measure across. He's pulled it back instead. Slightly behind De Bruyne, who stretched out the left leg and brought the ball under control. Gvardiol. 10 outside the penalty area. Doku's level with the box and will run now, and just going up through the gears. It's come off Kulusevski, who can stop it going out of play for a corner, and then brilliantly, deftly nudges it back inside the box. Højbjerg has done sensationally there. Good little 1-2 between him and Kulusevski. Pep Guardiola really animated, not happy with Doku. I would imagine for the ease at which Doku let him get out. Spurs bring it forward with Skip. Skips ball inside the penalty area. Oh, a little stumble. A little stumble from Diaz. He recovered and got it away, but it was just like he was cartoon character on the edge of a cliff there. He was just losing his footing, and his heart was in his mouth. He was able to recover. He got the ball clear.
Yeah, he just caught his studs in the ground and just stumbled a little bit and made a little hash of that clearance. Had to just knock it out for a throw in. Tottenham have possession once more.
Here's Kulusevski. Back for Højbjerg. Zeki Kulusevski again. Nice reverse ball down the right-hand side of the penalty area, though Richarlison had to really scamper to be able to keep it in. He couldn't work the ball inside the penalty area, and Doku will find Kovacic, who will try and bring it away. City deep inside their own half for a moment. It's 0-0 with 12 to go. Well, I'd love another instalment of this, I must admit. It would be a very attractive-looking replay in 10 days' time, but a sense that this might not end 0-0. De Bruyne goes down towards the corner flag and then wins a corner. Romero decided that he got no option, really, but to try and put the ball out of play. He's now pulled up with cramp, and De Bruyne is attending to that for him, but it will be a corner to restart play here for City.
Yeah, great run from De Bruyne. Running behind, went shoulder to shoulder with Romero, resisted the challenge, and in the end Romero goes to ground, knocks it out for a corner. Once that cramp sets in, there's nothing worse. He's back up on his feet, and he's of course taking his position back in the box. Christian Romero, De Bruyne over this corner.
Chelsea 0, Villa 0 is a result. Corner on the Manchester City left is very deep and headed away by Udogie. He did well to turn it clear from underneath the bar. Back in from City, the second phase of play. Spurs deal with that, and Werner whacks it clear, but only as far as Walker, and it's City piling the pressure on. Kovacic with a lovely lofted ball, just cleared the blonde hair of Werner to get out to the right hand side for Walker. Ball then laid back past Kovacic in the centre circle for the retreating Kyle Walker, who's going to be able to bring it under control. And he'll clip it out towards the right-hand side. Spurs still keeping a relatively high line. It's about 15 yards outside the penalty area at the moment. Vardiol to Doku. Doku taking on Pedro Porro, trying to do it at pace this time. Good quick feet. Getting the ball inside the penalty areas, away from Skip. Udogie trying to bring it clear, has lost it. Out of the right-hand side of the box, it's Bernardo Silva. Now it's Foden. Silva goes down. The referee moves his arms across his body very quickly and says no penalty.
Yeah, I didn't think so either. Thought he went down a little too easily there. Bernardo Silva under pressure from James Maddison, actually.
Walker. Jeremy Doku's got it onto his right foot. Motions that he's going to cross the ball inside the penalty area, but doesn't. He plays it back instead for Kovacic. Kovacic gets it back then from Rodri. Vardiol is forward. Play down the left-hand side of the box. Doku swept clear. Oh, not effectively. Left-footed shot comes in and Vicario saves it. Bernardo Silva on the turn. Sharp chance after the defensive error, but Vicario able to make the save.
Yeah, Højbjerg's a lucky man there. As the ball's down the left side with Doku, he whips it across the 6-yard box. Penalty spot, actually. And Højbjerg lunges at it wildly, misses it completely. It drops to Bernardo Silva, takes a touch on the left foot from 12, 13 yards out, hits it straight down the middle at Vicario, who just delightfully grabs it.
That is only the fourth shot on target we've seen tonight. City have had 3 of them. They've had 12, 13 attempts now to Tottenham's 1. Oh, given away. Foden, it's De Bruyne, and he's put it wide.
Wow.
He was 15 yards out. Spurs determined to play out from the back, and if Højbjerg's error in the previous phase of play was a cardinal sin, this one was epic. Just a heavy touch, gave it to Foden. Foden square, De Bruyne wide with the keeper beaten. He only put it a foot wide, but Spurs are mighty lucky there.
My goodness. What is Højbjerg thinking about there? Put everything at risk, all the hard work you've done. And really, if you want that to drop to one man on the field, it's Kevin De Bruyne, that chance. Somehow he misses the target.
Well, he didn't miss by much, but clearly that is the difference between City having their noses in front in the final 10 minutes and not doing. Spurs really living on their defensive nerves. Still in there. Is it going to be the first game under Postecoglou in which they haven't scored? Is it going to be City's first positive result ever at this stadium? Doku goes down. He's very disdainfully waved back to his feet by Pedro Porro. The free kick has actually gone Spurs' way. And Porro knocks it square but safely across the face of his own penalty area for a doggy. Slight stumble by Silva. Few players have been struggling with their footing tonight. Now it's played inside. It's Timo Werner. Big moment this. Good defensive work. Werner just took a touch, and that allowed Walker the opportunity to get back goal side. And then Werner just nudged into him. It's a free kick to Manchester City. Kyle Walker might be in his 34th year. He is still lightning when he needs to be.
Yeah, I think he's been very clever there as well. There's hardly any contact on him, and he goes down and he gets the free kick. But Timo Werner there, when that ball is played inside Kyle Walker, he had a yard on him. His first touch has got to take him across, so as Kyle Walker knows he dare not touch him. But instead of that, he kept going in a straight line, and then Walker just hit the throttle and just recovered and got goal side and eventually won a very cute free kick. Werner's got to be smarter than that.
Now foul by Richarlison, and free kick goes City's way. There was then a reaction from Gvardiol, which has earned him a yellow card. Just having a look at a replay, Gvardiol going down and Richarlison ending up on top of him, and then Gvardiol just pushes him with the palm of his right hand onto the left shoulder of Richarlison, who goes down holding the back of his head. Go figure. Yellow card for Gvardiol, but it will be a free kick to City. Well, there's going to be plenty from this game to get your teeth into on the sports bar, with Adam Catterall and Carlton Cole taking your calls. 03717223344 gets you through. Chelsea against Villa 0-0 tonight. If you were at that game and just making your way back, boys, would love to hear from you. 1-1 between Sheffield Wednesday and Coventry. And Forest held at Ashton Gate by Championship Bristol City tonight. They're going to a replay for the second successive round of both of those. 5 minutes to go in this one, plus stoppage time, so maybe another 5 to be added on top. Foden getting it forward. Doku's made a really good run, and he's in. Left-hand side of the area. Shot lacked power. Vicario could beat it away. Doku back on his feet, wins the corner in the next phase of play. But City are finding space with regularity now.
Yeah, really good play. First into Foden, and then from Bernardo Silva to Doku. Pedro Porro does great, because just as Doku's about to take the shot, Porro kind of leans on him, just gets his body in to disturb him, nudge him a little bit, and he loses the accuracy in the strike. Vicario makes the stop.
Kevin De Bruyne taking the corner. It's pulled back towards the edge of the box. And Bernardo Silva has fired it almost onto the middle tier of the north stand. Is that set piece that you see occasionally?
Yeah, you do.
Penalty area flooded. It's not the old England one where they make a sort of a darting near post run 15 yards from goal. That was properly towards the edge of the D in a central position, but it was slightly behind Silva, so really difficult for him to make the kind of contact that he wanted and keep it down, and it's sailed over the bar. 4 minutes to go. Vicario given the hurry up. Spurs playing their way out again on the edge of their own penalty area, and Skip was the calmest man in the place as he turned seemingly into trouble and then elegantly got his way out of it. Højbjerg back towards Van der Ven. Well, they have the game plan, and they will play to it at every conceivable opportunity, and it involves playing out from the back and inviting the opposition press. But sometimes it very, very nearly goes wrong, and we've seen that on a couple of occasions tonight for Spurs. Now Vicario put under more pressure as Manchester City bodies come forward again, and it's De Bruyne that's got it, and his left-footed effort takes a deflection and spins wide, and it's another Manchester City corner, their 10th of the game.
Yeah, Kevin De Bruyne picks that up on the edge of the box, got his back to goal, but shifts it onto his left foot. slap bang on the edge of the 18-yard box, right in the middle. And that shot, the left foot shot, is just about deflected, I think, by Romero, out for another corner.
6 without reply. The corner count in the second half for City. We're in the 88th minute. De Bruyne, another in-swinger. Goalkeeper is there and has pushed it down to Nathan Ake. City strike and a minute away from going through. Their hoodoo on this ground, surely about to be ended.
Well, every man to a man, Tottenham players are all crowding around Paul Tierney. It's a near post corner whipped in from De Bruyne. I think Vicario makes a hash of it, I do. He looks like he's trying to catch that over the top. Is it Gvardiol? Is it Ruben Dias? Does he back into him? Does he really do enough to prevent the goalkeeper from grabbing that and making the sort of contact he wants? He flaps at it. Vicario flaps at it. Nathan Ake is there to pounce from a yard out. Toe ends it into the goal. Honestly, look, when you consider what goalkeepers do, the way that they come out with all fists flying and clatter into people, the contact that Diaz has put on the goalkeeper there, I think, is minimal. I really do. If he gets away with this, he's very lucky. I think that's a goal.
Well, it's being looked at by twin VARs, Tim Robinson and Jared Gillett. And the big question, the only question really, is whether Diaz has any hold of Vicario, whether he's obstructing him, whether he has prevented Vicario coming towards the ball. In real time, I didn't think so. Having seen the replay, I'm still not convinced. No. Ake was the quickest to react. We're looking at it again now. There's pushing and shoving from both. And I think the goal's going to stand. There's another massive roar from the Manchester City fans. Maddison in discussion with the referee. But the goal will stand. The first that Manchester City have ever scored on this ground. And it's Nathan Ake in the 88th minute. And seemingly it might well be enough to knock Tottenham out of the FA Cup and put Manchester City through to round 5 for a 9th successive season. Kovacic to Kevin De Bruyne. De Bruyne taking it on inside the penalty area. Couldn't find Foden. It's knocked away. The doggy will bring it clear. We're about to go into stoppage time. How many extra minutes will there be? A number 6 or 7, I would guess. I don't know. 4th official might show us. He's going to show us the change first. Well, Hotspur is going to come off and be replaced by Dane Scarlett. So a Spurs change, Hotspur off, Scarlett on, and still they haven't said how many extra minutes are going to be added. But I think your gut feeling it is 5. I think your gut feeling, Andy, is that was just poor goalkeeping.
Well, they get so het up, the goalies, about someone that stands in and around them, and they're shoving them and pushing them and losing their concentration on the ball and the flight of the ball that's about to come in. Get so concerned by a little bit of contact with someone in the box.
Now Dane Scarlett will chase, but it'll be knocked back by Gvardiol. Scarlett's actually fouled him. It's a free kick to Manchester City. They'll be in no hurry to take this. Scarlett, teenager, who's made a dozen appearances on loan at Ipswich this season, but couldn't get into the starting 11 at any stage. He's come off the bench in all 3 of Spurs' domestic cup ties this season now, and he's just got a few minutes to make an impression here. Nathan Ake, 1-0 Manchester City, and in the end, in a game that has had the spectacular in recent years, it's the controversial tonight, and it's a tap in from a yard, but it looks as though it's going to be good enough to win it.
Yep. And they're so important, set plays and getting them right. De Bruyne swings it in right under the bar. Again, though, goalkeeper's almost trying to catch it, I feel. Put a fist on it. Just get something on it, knock it up in the air away from the danger.
Now De Bruyne has been fouled. And that whistle is music to the ears of the Manchester City players and fans. De Bruyne being helped back to his feet. So a City free kick in Tottenham territory. And already half of the 5 minutes have elapsed. Here's Doku taking down towards the corner flag. Pedro Porro has come in and got the last touch. It's another Manchester City corner. It's going to be more seconds off the clock.
Yeah, this one's not coming in the box, Jim. De Bruyne's on it, Doku standing next to him. They're going to keep it there.
And the travelling City supporters are the ones that you can hear. This, with the record that they've got on this ground, where they've lost on all 5 previous visits and never scored, always likely to be a difficult draw. But City have stuck to their task. They where shots on target have been at a real premium at either end. But Nathan Ake's tap in from a corner is the passport to a place in round 5, it seems. De Bruyne from the latest corner work short. Spurs can bring this one away. Scarlett back. Ball played forward. Ake, the goal scorer, there ahead of Richarlison, chested out of play for a throw that'll be taken on the Spurs right. 90 seconds left. Manchester City lead it 1-0. Dane Scarlett, Doku back inside his own half. And Gvardiol will turn it back to his goalkeeper, and Ortega gets it away left-footed through the midfield. Foden rescues that, stretches out a left foot. Kovacic down the line, Doku again. Where the corner flag is Nirvana, he'll just go down there and just stopped and invited the challenge from Romero, who's caught him. And it's another free kick to Manchester City by the time it's taken. It's only going to be about 40 seconds to go.
Yeah, just running the clock down now, City, sensibly. Just trying to keep it, using Doku's pace just to receive the ball, and then he invites a challenge. He gets one from Romero. And Paul Tierney gives another Manchester City free kick high up on this left side. Look, I've really enjoyed the game. There's been a real intensity about the game. The better team have won it. Not tons in it, but it's come down to a scrappy goal, but it doesn't matter. It looks like it's going to be enough, and I think City will feel justifiably that they deserve to go through tonight.
The free kick becomes a corner. Not that the City fans are watching it, because they are mid-Poznan. And when you've got 9,000 in the place doing it, that really is some sight. 10 seconds to go. Corner taken short by De Bruyne, and Doku with a little step over wins another corner. There'll barely be time to take this. It's an angry reaction, I think, from some of the Spurs players, because they felt that Doku was showboating there. But he's won a corner, which was his prime intention. So just a few seconds to be added on once the referee has calmed things down and had a word with the perpetrators. It's a yellow card for Doku and a yellow card for Porro. And it will be another corner. And the 5 minutes are up. Spurs fans filing out. The City fans waving them off. De Bruyne's got the ball in his right hand, spots it down on the quadrant. There'll barely be time to take this. De Bruyne taps it short for Foden, and they've won it! For the first time ever, Manchester City win at the new Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. A ground where Pep has struggled against Pochettino and Jose and Nuno and Conte. But Ange Postecoglou's Tottenham have been beaten. A scruffy goal, tapped in by Nathan Ake after Vicario thought that he was fouled by Ruben Dias. A fixture that has been Pep's kryptonite for so many years. But tonight, City are the Supermen, and they are through to round 5. The defence of the FA Cup continues. Spurs are out. Ake on 88. Spurs 0. Manchester City 1.
I think I've just seen Jeremy Doku get booked for being skillful. It'll be a footnote to what I thought was a really good game, and it had that late drama as well. The City fans over in the corner are going crazy. They absolutely love it. What about Nathan Ake? Got a 4th round winner for City against Arsenal last season. This season he's got a 4th round winner against Spurs. It wasn't exactly a contender for goal of the season, but it'll do for City tonight.
Well, it certainly do, Aids. This is a ground where they haven't been able to score, haven't been able to find a way. Well, they deservedly won the game, but I really enjoyed it. Spurs never quite got there at the top of the field tonight. Never worked Ortega enough. But we're always in the game. We're always just perhaps a pass away from creating something worthwhile. Had one or two situations, but City again were the better team. And when you look at that Spurs bench, when they have Maddison coming on and maybe Skip, the difference. City can bring on Doku, they can bring on De Bruyne, people that can come on and potentially make the difference. And in the end, I think they deserve their victory. I do.
Maybe a fitter Maddison starting might have made a bigger difference. I don't know. And do you know what might have helped Spurs is if they'd given Oscar Bobb's goal, it might have forced Spurs to be a bit more expansive. I don't know. And actually, one of the things that I don't like about Spurs tonight, I call them lightweight tonight. They've had one effort, it was on top, that's it. City have had 18 away from home. This is Spurs home. But they didn't, I know City are brilliant, I get all of that. And I know there's 9,000 City fans, way more than for a Premier League game. I get all of that as well. And fair play to them, by the way, for coming all this way on a Friday night to London. And the noise they made, the City fans. Some people call it a manufactured club. What a load of old rubbish. Those fans were fantastic.
3 tiers of them here.
Absolutely amazing.
Stadium tonight.
Three tiers doing the Poznan. Absolutely extraordinary.
Brilliant.
But Spurs, I felt, were lightweight. I think their fans will go home and say, well, what was that? They couldn't get out of their own quarter, never mind their own half, trying to play it out from the back. I didn't see a plan B. I didn't see any way of them getting back in once City had gone in front.
I think when the game's 0-0, Aid, when it's even though you're second best, when it's 0-0, it's difficult to snap out of whatever it is you're trying to do and then all of a sudden assume you're going to pick something else up and that's going to work. It's not as straightforward as that. I think against a team like City, you're always so fearful that they're going to find a way, that they're going to break it down, that they're going to get in front. So it's never easy against them. I do agree with you. On paper, Spurs look tonight, they had the ultimate attacking formation with Johnson, with Timo Werner, with Kulusevski and Richarlison. That never really figured or materialised, did it? We didn't really see that threat at the top of the field. There were 1 or 2 situations that they couldn't turn into anything significant or worthwhile. City, again, second half, looked like they were going to grab the game by the scruff of the neck, and then they couldn't quite find that finishing touch when it looked like really that they should. But in the end, through perhaps an unlikely source in Nathan Ake in a scruffy goal, goalkeeper's got to do a mile better. You know, he's done well, Vicario, since he's been at Spurs. I'll give him his due. Tonight, he's flapped at that at the near post, and his team have gone out because of it.
Yeah, Andy, enjoyed your company tonight. 3 replays are needed after tonight's FA Cup action. Chelsea have to go to Villa. That finished goalless on Talksport 2. Bristol City held Forest goalless. Coventry drew 1-1 at Sheffield Wednesday. Here at Tottenham, Pep City finally score a goal at this magnificent stadium, and it's the only goal tonight as the FA Cup holders go through to round 5 and Ange Postecoglou's Spurs go out. We had late drama, a bit of controversy, City snatching it at the end. Jurgen Klopp's going to miss the FA Cup, isn't he? Sports Bar Weekender is next on Talksport. 03717 223344.